This and all episodes of the podcast have been brought to you by our generous patrons over at Patreon, the DayZ podcast. If you're interested in finding out more about how you can support the show each week, then please click the link in the description down below to find out more information about Patreon, the DayZ podcast. Thank you for your support. And once again, as always, folks, a big shout out to our supporters on patreon.com, the DayZ podcast. Our $10 supporters, Scalespeeder Gaming and Dick Donovan. Thank you so much, guys. Your support is really appreciated. And a massive shout out to our $25 supporter, Jake Snow. I don't know why you do it, mate, but we can't thank you enough for your support for the DayZ podcast. All the best, folks, and enjoy the show. And welcome to episode 54 of the DayZ podcast. Marks, good to see you back, mate.
Good to see you as always. How are we all doing?
Not too bad at all, mate. Not too bad at all. I'll just do a quick sound check with the chat as I introduce each of our guests. Let us know that you can hear everyone okay. So tonight joining us, we have got an all-star cast, OGLevent, or as someone just called him in chat before, we've been joined by the one and only Mighty Ninja.
Ninja?
Cranking 90s, dude.
Totally audacious, dude.
Ceremor, how you doing, buddy?
Howdy there, I'm all right.
RayRayyy?
All right there, lad.
You're not feeling too good either at the moment, RayRayyy. So
I've been spending too much time in the glory hole. That's a problem.
Wait, if you lick fucking toilet seats, you're going to get sick, okay? So, and last but not least, Kyro, how you doing, buddy?
Wagwan modular.
I have no idea what you just said.
Don't worry, just the roadman, sorry. Pass, that's right.
Kids talk.
Welcome, everyone. It's going to be a very... Sorry, what? What was that?
I don't know if someone spoke.
Oh. But yeah, it's going to be quite a big podcast, guys. Not only did we have the experimental patch 1.12 drop, but we've got a couple of big topics to talk about tonight. A lot been happening in the DayZ community. We saw the shutdown of creators, partly possibly due to two of our guests tonight, Kyro and Ceremor, but we will come back to that later. First up, we are going to be talking to a repeat guest, UncleRayRayyy and OGLevent. Guys, how are we doing?
I'm all right, pal. How are you doing?
Not bad. I'm doing all right, yeah. Just getting there, Working.
Grinding out Fortnite on Ninja.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, RayRayyy, how's your stream team going, buddy?
It's not bad. I mean, I'm getting people asking us to join all the time, which is a good thing, because initially I thought after the first wave of hype where everyone joined, it would sort of taper off, but I'm still getting people inquiring, wanting to join and stuff. And I'm trying to obviously only invite people that I know of personally. I just don't want any Tom, Dick, and Harry sort of turning up and getting invited to the team. So yeah, it's going all right. I mean, everyone seems to be doing well. We had a couple of people hit affiliate status through support from the stream team, which is always good to see, and that everyone seems to be getting on well. And there's no drama, which is surprising, because considering I'm the one who's running it.
But the one of the things I said before the show started, because Marks and Kyro have been in here for a while, and I actually gave you a big shout out, and I called your stream team, mate. It's like the home for all the others that the DayZ community rejects.
Yeah.
And that's part of why you guys are on today, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, especially for the bigger sort of stream teams, I feel like it's harder for people to get noticed and get onto those teams without being sort of like pulling in good viewership numbers.
Yep.
So to give them a platform to sort of network with other streamers of their size, it's going to be beneficial to people to grow.
Because there's a lot of I don't even know the word to use to describe it, but there's a lot of clicks out there with some of the various communities, isn't there, Ray?
Yeah, I feel like what often happens is even though you're in a stream team, they'll always host each other, and they'll never sort of filter the host down to people who probably need it more. If I was a person that was pulling, say, 30 viewers, and I'm hosting someone who's got 2,500, it's not going to really make a difference to their life. Whereas whenever you see someone with one viewer and you host them with 30, I think that's going to make a big difference to their stream long term. So always, what I'm working on at the minute is I normally host the stream team for one stream and a random person who's got low viewers for the second one. So I sort of alternate between the two, because I feel like people fall into the trap where they've got a stream team and they just continuously host each other, and they don't really scope outside of that. And that's where the clickiness comes from, where everyone's just hosting the same names over and over. And
But isn't that part and
can't-
parcel of having a stream team, OG? That you're banding up with those people, and they're obviously going to be your preference.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. I think like I'm on board with what you said about it stopping that sort of gatekeep as well, and sticking with people that are on your level. It's probably the best thing that people can do, especially with how Twitch works and just content creation in general, how it works. And as well, like RayRayy's stream team is just full of nut jobs like me, so it's just
Ceremor, are you part of a stream team?
suit.
Oh no, not right now. I've always thought, it was kind of weird to just have this little circle of people to support. I really like just kind of running into random people and running with them, realizing they're streamers and being like, hey, let's throw it to this person. And I think that's a fun way to do things. So I've never really engaged with that side of Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like two ways of going about it. Really, you can either like be in a stream team where like be around a tight knit group of streamers or content creators who are similar in play style to you, and you get on with them, and you can kind of share your community around with each other, and it can work really well. But then you can also be on the other side, like what Ceremor was saying about just being open, not really caring, and meeting whoever you can, and then just taking it as you go. Really, it works both ways.
What about you, Mark? Is there much of this in the YouTube community?
Not that I've seen, no. There isn't. There's never been really a place where you could even host people on YouTube. I know there is something now, but it's still, I think, kind of work in progress. So no, you're just kind of. Conquer.
It's all just links, isn't it? So, like, if
Yeah.
say my boy Mark's streaming, for example, and I'm streaming at the same time, and I end up ending, I can just go, all right, this other DayZ streamer is thinking to click the link, go to this Mark's, so on and so like that. It's not really like host or anything like great at that, but yeah, it's still good. It's a good community.
See, we've got Miss Boo saying in chat here, teams are good, but announcing to large masses whether they dislike them is the problem, using interactions in-game. And I personally haven't seen a lot of it. I've heard of it, but there is some tribalism between some of the stream teams out there, is what I'm hearing, Marks.
Yeah, it seems that way. I always prefer just kind of randomly finding people or different stuff like that. A stream team can be good if you're small, especially, but I don't know. I think when you get bigger, you can kind of end up hosting the same person over and over again if you're just in a stream team, and it can kind of get a bit kind of boring after a while. Yeah, repetitive. Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like, I think a lot of people join them purely to gain from them and don't contribute a lot. UncleRayRayyy, there's people who just join them and they don't provide any value, and all they're there for is, in your stream team, you probably got people who are just sitting there hoping that you're going to raid them because you get good numbers, mate. And if Ceremor was to join a stream team or start one, people would join his just in the hopes they're going to get big numbers coming from him.
Yeah, but if someone's offering nothing to the team and I see that, I'll never host them because I feel like they haven't given anything beneficial to the other members of the stream team. So why should I be helping them out? It's what you've got to help the other people out as much as they help you out. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
And that's what a lot of people have got to remember, Ceremor, is that even if you join a stream team, you've still got to put the work in. It's not going to be an instant guarantee to success, is it? How long have you been streaming for, Ceremor?
Oh God, off and on since 2014. And yeah, like I feel like I've looked at a lot of stream teams, and there's just a lot of names of people that I've never really heard of. And I feel like there's not that many people I've seen in the DayZ circles that really engage with it. Like I'll see that you got the Australian survivalists for lax, and I go through that list, and there's a bunch of names that I've never really seen pop up, and I know that they don't exclusively just like host each other or anything. And it seems like the stream teams aren't really engaged with in like a very exclusive way in DayZ, at least. So it seems like, I don't know, kind of irrelevant to the way people support each other, at least within this community.
Probably the biggest and most successful stream team would be Karma Crew. Yes, it's had some losses, but those guys are always playing together. In terms of a stream team that really looks out for each other, you probably can't give a better example than the Karma Crew.
I think those guys are quite established though as well. Like if you I think I can't fully remember who is in the Karma Crew fully, but yeah, like those guys have been doing it for so long, and they've probably got a game plan on what they would have to upload and their schedules and their times. And I think it just makes it a lot easier for them to all collaborate together and work together. It's quite obvious as well because like when I'm looking on Twitter and I'm seeing people like when I see Minder and Tobrek, people like that who are announcing that they're going live and playing together, it's within the minute. They're doing it so quick and they're playing for hours. And
Yeah.
I think people like that. I think they like it when it's just they know what they're going to get. So I think as well having a game plan is what makes those stream teams work really well. It's not just about setting up a team on Twitch, inviting people, and then streaming and setting them to your auto host. I think you've got to really sort of do it as a team properly.
Ray, what's your policy in the Human Twitchipede for dissing other creators and stream teams?
I mean, as much as I'm a controversial channel, I try not to get involved in drama because I don't really give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what other people are doing. I don't give a fuck how they run their stream, what they're doing in their stream. As long as I do what I want to do, why do I care what they're doing? Like that's my philosophy. I really don't give a fuck about other people, what their dramas are. I'm just concentrating on myself.
Yep. But you've been on the receiving end of some shit talking though, haven't you?
Well, yeah, it's a lot of he said, she said though. Like I've heard from people that streamers have told other people to stop following me in the past, that I play the game not correctly in inverted commas, that I would never get partnered at one stage, and I've heard all, but again, it's just like whatever ducks back. I don't really care. I'm going to continue doing me and doing how I see fit. A lot of people will tell me that I had to tone it down to get partnered, but I proved them all wrong. So I can just continue doing what I want to do. I don't really need to listen to the conjecture from other people that bear no relevance to me.
And that's one of the things I love about you and Ceremor in particular, Ray, is that both of you just play the game the way you like. Sometimes that upsets people, and we'll be coming onto that topic a bit later for you, Ceremor. But I enjoy the fact that you guys pretty much don't give a fuck what people think of you.
Well, this is the thing. Me and Ceremor in game have had big battles where I've chased him through the multi-story with an axe in the darkness, and he's murdered me from a gear. But that's in game. I feel like a lot of times where you fuck someone over in game, they take it personally out of the game into things like Twitter and stuff, and that's where all this whole drama stuff happens. I think people have got to separate what happens in game to the person that's doing it. I don't necessarily mean if someone fucks me over in game, it doesn't mean that I'm going to hate them. I don't really care, to be honest. It's just the name of the game. It's DayZ.
Yeah, like what I think makes DayZ so incredibly special is the fact that you can be with somebody who's been like your friend for 2 hours, and then they can just be a complete fucking asshole, raise their gun and be like, sorry, pal, I just want your shit, and then kill you. And it's the fact that you can be just the worst piece of shit, and anybody can, that makes like when you make a friend, it makes that part more special. And so like I think without the villains, without the fucking assholes that'll just wreck your shit, like there wouldn't be any meaning to like friendships in DayZ. And so like I really enjoy the mix of villainy and kindness within this game, and it wouldn't be the same without it. And some people just seem to want to take away from the villainy and like put restrictions on it, and I kind of disagree.
Half-Blood in
like
the
how
chat is
Bo-
saying,
how-
is there people that play in a way that they don't enjoy? And yes, I've lost track of the amount of times, Kyro, that I've heard streamers saying in chat, I'd love to be able to do something different, but this is what my chat like. Or, there's also the aspect that once you start streaming, it restricts what you can and can't do. Like base building as a streamer, unless you're on a strict roleplay server, is a fucking nightmare, Kyro.
I mean, the thing is, right? Like, I mean, I get it to some certain extent. You need to do what your viewers want, but personally, I mean, I do what I enjoy, right? So if I enjoy something, I know, say, like writing content, right? If I enjoy doing that, and other people enjoy it, sweet as. If you don't like me doing something, it's your choice to stay or not, right? I feel like I'm an entertaining guy. People watch me, I'm a bit goofy or whatever it is, and I do that even if I am just base building. It's always been that way. But I don't feel like any streamer should feel like they should cater to their audience, because your audience is there because if you start out doing what you do and not catering to your audience, they're going to stick around with you no matter what, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's
how
what being
boring
yourself's
would it be
important
if
for.
everyone played the same way?
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a big circle jerk of, I'm playing on a scum server at the moment, and we're trying to go for a more interaction focused one, and the usual thing of there's a couple of guys on there who are quite KOS-y, and I've had a chat to them and said, try to step out of just shooting everyone on sight, but I've stressed to everyone else that if it wasn't for the KOS bandits, it's a big fucking circle jerk of people just standing around holding each other's dicks singing Kumbaya. There needs to be the threat of death from every fucking encounter.
In DayZ, the DayZ elitist way of playing DayZ is to fucking go hunting, go down south, gear up, have battles down south and stuff. But if everyone did that, there would be no content. Even though I hate that word because I just don't like it. There would be no content in the north. Like there would be none of this fucking around, having fun, meeting new people, pissing around. So as much as people think you should play DayZ in one way, which to me blows my mind because it's a sandbox fucking survival game and you can do it however you want. Like if everyone played the same way, I think the game wouldn't be as popular as it is.
And this is
I
where
find it so weird.
This is part of where the reason why I've got you on, Ray and OG, is that there are a lot of people out there, and I've been guilty of this myself. I'm no fucking knight in shining armor, but there are people out there who can't accept that other people play different to them, and there's a guy named Spud from DayZ Down Under, and when I was being a bit of a prima donna, fucking drama queen, well, fucking I'm always a drama queen according to some people, but I would, I was getting, I think some people were stream stalking me and trying to fuck with me, and so be it. But what I had to learn was that sometimes taking an L is just as good as taking a W in an encounter. You don't always have to win. I've heard stories of content creators who absolutely fume when they get killed by another content creator because it ruined their storyline that they were going for with their character. And that to me is just mind-boggling, Marks. I can't understand that.
It's a narrow way of thinking, isn't it, really?
No.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. Like, if you get killed by another content creator, just move on. Get over it and just get back to your story again. It's not that difficult. You can get loose again pretty easily.
I still, the 6 years that I've been playing DayZ, I think, I am still completely blows my mind to this day just how like simple-minded people can be when they think about the way the game should be played. Like there are so many survival games out there. Like it started off with like Miscreated, and there's games like Rust as well, which is ridiculous for toxicity. But even those games, their players and their communities have an understanding that in that game you cannot have it your way, and it's however the community want to play it. It's however you want to play it. But
Yes.
for some reason, I don't know if it's just down to the demographic of DayZ, but it just seems like everyone who, or most people, sorry, that I've seen who are into content creation, has had some sort of issue with another player judging them for how they play or how they should be playing because they didn't have it their way. And it just confuses the hell out of me because I don't understand why it's DayZ in particular. it's like there's a root of it. There's a root for it somewhere. And I
It
don't know
comes
what
back
is.
to what Ray talked about when the first time we had you on the show, mate. I'm disappointed you don't have your webcam on and your little
What?
whiteboard to show us your explanation of the DayZ players. But there are
The thing-
elitists.
Yeah, well, there is a DayZ elitist, but what's even worse that triggers me is when you have these guys that run around in the spawn towns murdering people and fucking with people, and as soon as you do it to them, that's when the problem occurs. They don't they like doing it to other people, but don't like having it done to them. Which to me, like, I've been fucked over more times than anything else, and
You've got a reputation. You've got a target on your back, like Kyro.
I
Kyro
expect it to
fucking
happen.
targeted
I
you.
just shot him. I just shot him as soon as I heard his voice, dude. I was like, fuck this, I'm good.
That's like the name of the game, though. If you're going to dish it out, you got to take it.
Yeah, I mean, we went back
I
and
mean-
forth a few times. It was quite fun, to be fair.
Yeah.
Me and I loved it.
Fu put in the chat.
See, the thing is, right, with me, right, I agree with you should play the game how you want to, right? You should. And this comes down to me and Ceremor issue, right? So the thing is, I don't have an issue about the base wasn't mine, right? The base wasn't mine.
We'll come back to that later. We'll come back to that one later. We're
Yeah,
still
just want to explain why sometimes you can go over the top with shit, even if you are playing it a certain way. It can affect other people, and I'll go into that a little bit.
Yeah,
more later,
we'll come back to that one when we talk about creators. But yeah, there are a lot of people, Ceremor, who, and you're a bit the same, mate. You play a crazy style as well. You've a bit like Lax Hawthorne as well. Benfruit, guys like you are putting a target on yourself. People hear your voice. You two, Lax and Ben, are all very well known as basically trolly shit posters in the game. Lax does his thing where he's perfectly healthy, but he'll tell the other person that he's almost dying. He's not fucking limping or anything like that, but that's just, you're putting a target on yourself, Ceremor. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that whenever I walk up to somebody, there's like a good 75% chance that they're gonna go, "That's fucking Danny," and then shoot me in the face. And so I gotta figure a way around that. And I've got like a couple strategies. I'll just change my voice and be like, "Yo, dude, my name's Rob, man. Hey, how you doing?" Like if I really need something, like food, yo, can I just grab a bite? Like, and there's all kinds of, I love acting as a villain, and when it comes to like judging other play styles, the thing I fucking love about DayZ is that that you can do literally anything. Like there's a lot of people that get very upset about people that go down south or up north, I guess depending on the map, and then come back to the spawn areas with like full gear and just murder everybody, and they go like, that's not DayZ, that's no good. And I'm like, I mean, you can judge them, you can be like, oh, that's a dick move, but I would never want to like ban those people or remove them from the servers or give them a talking to, because I think that the fact that you can like do anything is what makes this game so special. It's what captured me originally, just the ultimate like complete freedom to it. And I hate like seeing restrictions. I've seen a couple of servers where they started having rules about, okay, you can kill, it's a PvP server, but if you're near spawn areas shooting freshies, like we're gonna have to do something about that. And I think that's a silly thing, because when you have power, you always have power in DayZ. You can grab a sledgehammer, you can go get that guy with the M4, you can round up a bunch of people and form a mob. And I've done all these things when there's been geared people in normal areas. And I think that people just kind of, some people default to complaining whenever they get got, instead of like trying to puzzle away to make it out on top. And I wish people would be a little more open-minded with the game sometimes, instead of just
Ceremor, this comes back to
asking.
someone you and I know very, very well, and that's a guy who, I don't know about you, but to me he is probably one of the gods of DayZ, even though his channel never blew up the way it should have, and that's Vigilante Gamer. And he was, some people would argue he's a bit of a elitist the way he played DayZ. He was more a lone wolf and a survivalist, but also a fucking outstanding tactician. When it came to DayZ tactics, there aren't many better than him. And if you check out his YouTube channel, he's got some of the best guides to DayZ. But he did videos about why KOS is necessary in the game. and that bandits, I think one of his biggest ones was bandits aren't ruining DayZ. That video is probably 7 years old. And this is a guy who didn't play as a bandit. He sometimes would. He mixed up his play style, but he was a purist of the game. He loved the tactical side of it, but he also understood the need for differing play styles. And I struggle, Marks, with why some people can't grasp that other play styles complement theirs. I got held up by R. Diddy, Ben Fruit, and someone else. I always come back to this story. And to this day, I still remember that interaction. I generally play Mr. Nice Guy on a server, Marks, but they fucking robbed me and they took fucking everything. And my God, was I salty. But I look back now and it was one of the best moments I've ever had in DayZ.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't understand it. Why people just, they hate it or they don't like it, or people are saying you should be banned for it and this and that. It's just play the game you want to play the game. Somebody's doing something else and they're playing the game a different way. Who cares at the end of the day? It's a game. For the love of God.
I remember
you can play it whatever way you want to.
I remember playing a server and they started going, you can only hang around in the spawn areas for 30 minutes because you're murdering too many people. After 30 minutes, you have to go south. You have to go south. And I was like, fucking bullshit. I was like, I'm not playing that server anymore. Like, what is the point of dictating to people how you play the game? 30 minutes in the spawn zone, like, why is there a time limit on it? I don't understand.
Yeah,
I think as well is like if there was really a right way of playing the game, then why are the mechanics of the game not linear? Why is it such an open world? It's literally being served on a silver platter in front of you. The game is there to be explored and to be experimented with.
I think the thing is as well though, if you've got someone murdering people in the spawn areas, then you have like these sort of like fucking like these timelines that'll happen where you'll have a bunch of fresh spawns and they'll all team up and they'll say we'll go and kill the scared guy. So there'll be 4 or 5 of them teaming up, and maybe from that they'll go on an adventure or whatever the fuck they do, which they wouldn't have had if they hadn't had to band together to kill a guy in the spawn area. So I feel like people sort of overlook the fact that it's giving them something to do.
Yeah, DayZ really needs like I think it's important that people come into DayZ with the mindset of it being spontaneous, and that you can't you cannot play DayZ with a plan. You can maybe assume what you want to do, like spawn in, run to Cherno, go to Balota, go to Northwest, go back down, shoot a load of people. You could do that, but there's nothing to say that you're going to die halfway and have to do the whole thing again. You can't go in with that mindset, and that's what causes disappointment with people.
And meta's form, like Ceremor, you're old enough to remember Douche Rocks near Cami.
Yeah.
And what would happen though? You would learn that people would camp fucking Douche Rocks, and you would play accordingly. If you ran down that fucking road, you were asking for it. As sucky as the gameplay was, and it was pretty fucking sucky, high-geared guys who'd been up to the Northwest Airfield, got their fucking awesome gear, and then come back and just snipe freshies. But if you were stupid enough to run down the fucking road towards Electro, you deserved what you fucking got. If you were clever, you went and got a fucking shovel and tried to knock those motherfuckers out, didn't you, Ceremor?
Exactly. And like that's something that I kept seeing for a bit on the day one Livonia servers back when they were super popular. I'd see a lot of people complaining in the Discords or in other places saying like, God, I just can't make it down south. Like I just keep getting killed by these freshie killers and these guys in M4. But then like sometimes I would see a certain streamer saying that, and then I'd watch their perspective just to be like, all right, so what happened here? And it's always like, oh, I hear gunshots. I'm going to run straight towards them. I'm not going to try to, because it's so easy to stick to the shadows in DayZ. It's so easy. Even if you're like in a war zone, there's 2 groups having a huge fight in a town. You can sneak, you can crawl through the shrubbery. You can get out of there. There's so much soft cover. There's so many places to duck into and hide. It's incredibly easy if you really put your mind to it to avoid these situations and just kind of like slip down south into the more inland, quieter areas. But I find that a lot of people kind of just like a moth to a flame just start walking towards the gunshots, and then they get shot, and then they go, oh, they keep shooting me. Why do they keep shooting me? And it's like, you could have avoided that. Like, just try a little bit.
You don't want to, though. Let's be honest.
As soon as I get fucking gunshots, like, soon as you hear gunshots, like tea time.
Straight to him.
And that's it. You know, ultimately, Kyro, it comes down to the decisions you make as to generally why you end up in the situation you end up in. These people who get butthurt when they die, it's
Yeah,
you know,
it's usually their own fault.
I get, they call me a loot whore. I get thumb in bum, mind in neutral, and I'm always looking for the next juicy piece of loot that I'm going to find. And then I forget that there may be other players on this server with me. I'm playing a fucking MMO game, and I forget there's other players to worry about. And the next thing I get a "you are dead" screen. And after I get over the saltiness of dying, it's because I was running in the open, I was standing still too long. All those little things that you just don't see the bigger PvP players do. You know, they're constantly moving. Yeah, I forget that, and it's my own fault, Kyro.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm the same. Obviously, you guys, if you don't know who I am, I'm pretty much PvP based, and that's like my content. I understand to move, bob and weave. Stay tree line. Don't go across fields unless you're absolutely certain. That type of deal, or you're feeling a bit ballsy. So I go for shots all the time. And don't get me wrong, I have my salty moments when I get shot at and I die and I've lost a lot of gear or something, or like I'm holding base building supplies that are vital. I'm like, oh, for fuck, you know what I mean? Like it does. Yeah, you do get them, but usually it's just like, all right, respawn back again. It's standard, but some people, I don't know, like they'll hear shots. And I'm like, oh, let's go to these shots, see what we can do. And then when they die, they just start smashing their PC or something, dude. And it's like, you need to, like, if you don't want to do that, if that's not your thing, don't go to shots. Get a base set up, do something productive. I don't know, or if you do go to shots, just be prepared to die. Like that's just the way it is.
Yep, exactly.
I've never
Yeah, those
built
options
a
are
base
rare.
in DayZ ever.
I've never built a base in DayZ either. It's never
Really?
interested me. But
Yeah,
no,
no,
it's never
Based
interested me.
on a bridge. Took over a whole bridge in Livonia, built a massive base. That was insane.
I think the closest thing I've ever done to building a base in DayZ was back when barrels were first ever were fully integrated and working well with persistence. I helped run a server, and it was a PvP server, and I used to store a load of gear that I find at Northwest at the bridge near Vibor. I used to store it all in a bush near there, and that's the closest thing I've ever done to base building, is just storing a gun in a barrel.
Fair.
It just doesn't it doesn't feel right for me personally. Base building.
Do you raid bases?
I've not raided a base that's like defended by like a wall and like jumped over it or anything like that. But I've definitely found like tents in the woods, and I've pretty much robbed them of everything they've got.
I'm got a
just free
attention
stuff
span
at that
on
point.
create a base. I'm got attention span. I literally just want to murder as many people as I can throughout.
You're not. That's not really.
My playstyle, for those who don't know, in DayZ is usually just get in the game. Maybe for the first 10 minutes, I'll run around the coast and see who I can meet and mess around with. Usually hostile, and then I'll just go up north, get gear, and just travel around as much as I can until I die, and that's it.
See,
Pretty
Miss Foo
miserable
saying in
life,
chat, what
really.
point having guns in base though? See, I'm like that big fat old fucking dragon that likes to be curled up inside its cave, looking at all of its loot and all the rest of it. Me, I love that. I love having a good, well-stocked base and running back to it, and knowing I can gear up again. But at the same time, I love servers that don't have that. Like Day One and stuff like that. Not that I play on it a lot, but there's so many different ways to play DayZ, and each of them creates opportunities. Whether if you're not a base builder, you might become a professional base raider, and bases always attract attention as well. Whether it be door campers and stuff like that. There's always something happening around bases.
I think bases are kind of like having gear on bases for when you die, and I think it kind of depends on the server as well. If you're in like a really, really high PvP server, you just want to run back to your base as fast as you can, get another gear set, and try and go after the guy you've killed that has your gear and try and get revenge again. But
Yeah, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like it changes the vision of DayZ quite a bit and turns it far more into a competitive experience than like a kind of goof around, have a spontaneous adventure with a spontaneous person sort of thing. Much like Rust. Like in Rust, you don't really interact with other people spontaneously. You've got your group and you're warring with other groups, and that's the entire thing. And when you introduce bases to DayZ, oftentimes it makes people very like it really puts people in a box. You've got faction versus faction, and you don't have the weird random encounters that you used to get in like classic DayZ.
But look at the oldest and original community server, DayZ Underground. Its whole premise is around factions. Plus, you've got a good smattering of lone wolves and players just roaming. But it's horses for courses, Ceremor. There's different servers to cater to everyone's playstyle. And again, this comes back to what we've been talking about. Some people need to realise that if you're joining a server, you need to accept the culture that server has and not try to make it what you want it to be.
Yeah, RayRayyy, you've got to accept that organic roleplay.
Oh, fuck roleplay.
I've got no problem with, servers with bases and what have you. The only problem I have is that there's a lot of these faction war servers with bases and all that when you really deeply engage with the base raiding mechanics, you end up getting a lot of people kind of gunning for your head. So full disclosure, I'm currently banned from DayZ Underground. I was also banned from Baby Nades' Island. I was also briefly banned from Karma Crew, all for raiding bases within the confines of the rules. Because what tends to happen on servers with a lot of bases, community servers, is when you hit too many bases, people get very upset about their loot being touched, about their stashes, being taken, and they will form a campaign to get rid of you more often than not. And I see this on pretty much every community server that I've ever base rated consistently on. And that's kind of disappointing to see within like the DayZ community, because official servers are, help like trash places full of hackers and dupers and
I will say
things.
that some community servers, some factions do get butthurt when the tables get turned on them. I've been raided myself, and I got very butthurt about it. I was running a trader faction, and one of the bigger factions came along and took fucking everything, and I got very upset about it. But I got past it, and again, I look back at it now, and it was one of the more intense moments of my DayZ playing time. Boy, Spud's in chat. The guy in charge of the server that I got raided on, he's calling me the king of butthurt.
Me and Marks got raided, didn't we, Marks?
Yes,
we the whole squad. And what was our response? It was just like, oh well, we knew it was gonna happen. That was it. Like we weren't. The thing is, if you get raided, it's not an issue. You can always build loot's there. It's not an issue for you. We just took it on the chin. We're like, sweet as. I mean, I don't think any of us were like, oh fuck this. We didn't bring it. Like it wasn't an issue for us, because raiding is part of the game. I mean, you just learn to live with that, and that's just the way it is. But
we had been raiding bases all week.
Oh yeah, we're pretty bad.
We were one of the richest clans on that server. It was millions of dollars in rubles, and they were just everything was gone, and we didn't really care. Yeah, they even offlined us, so which was,
and we weren't even angry. We just laughed. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, we'll just get it all again. Be fine.
Yeah.
See,
Ceremor says really.
Can't get raided if you don't have a base, boys.
I like what's being said in chat here. Ceremor has had more rules written due to his rating than any DayZ player. I think part of the issue comes down to the fact that DayZ has quite a few little bugs or exploits, unintended game features, that can be done to raid bases. There's one that's quite legendary on DayZ Down Under, Stairway to Heaven, where guys would stack planks or doors and jump up on them and get into the air. And you've seen servers where people place garden plots and use them to get over the top of walls and things like that. Like, how did you do the base raids, Ceremor?
So when I was on DayZ Underground, I was very, very cautious to look over the rules as clearly and concisely as possible. I talked with the admins whenever we were doing something like we do player boosts and all that, and I would message the admins and I would say, hey, is this a valid thing to do? And they'd be like, oh yeah, that's all good. Yeah, you can do boosts, you can do jumps, you can crawl on top of fences and whatnot. And they basically the rule of thumb was if it's like a realistic way to access a base and not something very strange like clipping through a door or what have you, then it's a valid thing. And so what happened on DayZ Underground in particularly was there was a fence that I have a picture of this fence too. If you'd ever like to take a look, I can put that in the general chat.
Just share your screen, mate.
Oh yeah, let's see. Let me grab that real
I can
quick.
just imagine being a server owner and having Ceremor join Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever, and he's like, "Hi, I just want to know what are the rules for raiding bases?" And we're like, "Oh, fuck." Oh, here we go again.
Just a moment.
If you build a base, though, shouldn't you expect it to get raided? Like, I don't understand the fucking mentality.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
get
you
that
should.
either. Like, I think
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I made a write-up about the DayZ Underground ban because a lot of people were asking me about it. So I had this explanation. So I went through and I got an explanation of like what you can do, what you can't do, that boosting is allowed. I mean, I even went back into like old Reddit posts just to get like the precedent of the rules and what have you. And so what we did was we had somebody crouch here and then kind of like lift them up, and then you crawled under this gap. And it's a, you can see this is for scale here. This is a human being. You could fit like 3 people in this gap right here. And so we crawled over that because after asking all the questions, after going over all the rules, it seemed very kosher to do so. And of course, here's the fence that we've all crawled under 1,000 times in DayZ, a smaller gap than the one above this fence right here. And so we did that, and it wasn't when we raided this base that they got after us. It ended up being we went to another base where one of the admins happened to store a lot of loot. And coincidentally, after that other raid, that's when they started piling up evidence against us.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
Oh, yep.
What's Dr. D's thing saying there? No, it was the issue when you went prone to roll and get pushed by a fellow player because there was not enough room to get through the gap. What's he talking about there?
Oh, yeah, we have an example here, too. One last thing I'd like to touch on is I have this clip of exiting the base. No. There's nobody behind me. Oh, thank God. Okay. I crawl straight forward, nobody pushing me, no glitches. I go straight out of the large gap. Good. And it all seemed very normal, valid, kosher. But still, after raiding the base that an admin had used, is when this same admin is the one that goes and cuts up my stream with 30 clips going like, oh, were they exploiting here, glitching here? And it seemed very biased in my opinion.
I love DayZ Underground, man, but I can't see the issue here. I can't.
Yeah, I don't see an issue there.
I mean, either realistic. I think as well is, one thing that is a bit weird as well is how base building and having a base in DayZ, I think people are going about it wrong when they lose their gear, because it's kind of like they're seeing it as their end game objective has failed to have a base that lasts ages, and it's not like that. I think that having a base and storing your gear is only something to do to keep you occupied while playing the game. At the end of the day, DayZ hasn't actually got an objective, so everything that you do is just to keep you occupied and won't be permanent, So
I reckon. I
find it
don't do
sad
the.
that
Sorry, mate. I reckon. I mean, I don't do the base building shit. I don't raid bases because, like I say, I haven't got the patience for it. But like, if it was me and I was building a base, my first reaction if my base got raided wouldn't be going crying to an admin. It would be to try and get the stuff back and raid someone else, or get revenge. So
Take out one.
Yeah. I mean, if like
Torture them.
Ceremor was saying earlier about them banning him because he was raiding too many bases and they didn't like having their base raided. If that was the case, then what who's to say I can't just join that server and be like, I don't like spawning in without an M4 or an AK, so can you give me one, please? Because at the end of the day, it's going against the whole point of the game.
And we just need to be cognizant of one thing as well. No one from DayZ Underground is here to provide their side of the story. Knowing Ceremor, you probably push the boundaries in ways that, as they said, someone in chat said there's been more rules written to stop you raiding. Archie Stormcloud was another guy who used to come up with lovely ways of raiding bases. But yeah, I'm certain I'll hear from someone from DayZ Underground with more information on this. So we might have to look about getting you back, Ceremor. But that said, on the surface, it yeah, we've kind of gone off the topic a bit, but there's rules, and then there's having too many rules. One of the problems I think a lot comes from, people who are good at raiding. One of the problems I had back when I was playing on DayZ Down Under was I didn't raid bases, so I didn't know how to build a base to defend against raiding. And it wasn't until I started learning how to raid that you realise there are so many ways that aren't even exploits or glitches. Like, I remember locking a building down and thinking that the glass, which had bars through it, wasn't able to be jumped through. No, you could just walk through it like it doesn't exist because of the way DayZ is set up. And there's, I remember talking about it, and some people were really, really upset about the fact that that was allowed. And it was kind of like, well, how are admins meant to monitor people building a ramp, a watchtower, and then jumping through a glass window? They can't. Unless they're there in admin mode, they're not going to know what's happened. So, you've just got to... My advice to people who love base building is start raiding so you can understand the weaknesses of your own base better. Because if you don't, people like Ceremor, Kyro, they're just going to dominate you.
Ooh.
I like that word, dominate.
Yeah.
Yes, Daddy.
I know RayRayyy will say something about it. As soon as he dominates it.
Oh, God.
Felt the flutter.
Yeah, and
Again.
I find the back and forth between base raiders and base builders constantly, having kind of an arms race to figure out what little bit can be, and I use this word not in the, explaining the game way, but like the security flaw that can be exploited to get into a base. I think that's one of the most fascinating things about base raiding is finding the weird jumps that you can do, finding the interesting areas where you can kind of speed things along and not do the 2 hours of hitting the wall with an axe.
I think a lot of sorry to cut you off, but I think a
No.
lot of people try and look for that flaw or that way to get in as well, because you don't want to waste materials. If you can save more materials by you crawling under something or being able to hop through a window or something like that, you're going to save yourself more stuff, so then you can raid another base maybe later on that same day or something like that, and you can just kind of keep going. I think that's what a lot of people do as well. They're just always trying to find a way to save either it's C4 or sledgehammers or anything like that, and just getting quicker as well.
Yeah, and I feel like there's certain groups that see those types of things, and instead of like thinking, oh, we should have thought about that bit that we missed, like this wall that was too close to a fence so they could make the hop or what have you, and instead of thinking like, oh, we got to go back to the drawing board, we got to tighten up security, we got to make this even harder for these people, they just kind of complain and go, well, was that a valid thing for them to do? I'm not sure. Maybe we should remove this person from the server. And I see that a little too often, I feel, on several different servers.
Part of the issue where a lot of the butthurt comes from, though, UncleRayRayyy, is I'm not talking about the servers where you start with 100k rubles and you just go to the trader and buy a car and fill it full of trading stuff and go build a base. But on your more vanilla style servers, it's a lot of effort that goes into building a base. And then to lose it all from one little glitch or exploit that you weren't aware of, yes, you're responsible for making sure you do have the knowledge and information, but that really triggers a lot of people, RayRayyy.
Well, I can understand that, but my view would be, if you're gonna get that upset about losing stuff, don't build a base in the first place.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Simple. Like if you're gonna put all your stuff and all your time and effort in one area and think, oh shit, if I lose this, I'm gonna be really pissed. Don't do it. Simple. Don't put yourself in the position to get pissed off.
Yeah.
It's just like that with anything in DayZ, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if something triggers you so bad, don't do the thing that you know is going to trigger you.
To me, the adrenaline rush of DayZ, the thing that makes DayZ like get my heart racing, and unlike any other game, is the fact that when when you die, you lose everything. You go back to, square one, and you're just a fresh spawn. You have nothing, and that's also the intensity I feel with bases. Like I do play Rust, and that is one of the worries when you're getting raided. It's like I don't want to go back to square one, but that's not a bad thing. I feel like a lot of people treat that as a bad thing, but I think that's what makes DayZ so special and makes it so that you act realistically in firefights, unlike other games. You don't run and gun, you're careful, you're considerate, because it's such a setback to lose. And that's what I love about it. And if there are servers, there's a lot of servers out there that put a lot of protections on loot in bases. Like they say, okay, you're allowed to raid, but only take what you can carry. Don't break the boxes, don't steal everything, don't take more than 50% of the loot.
Don't do a
And
malicious raid.
yeah, exactly. But I don't understand why loot set in a pile is so much more special than loot on your person. If you shoot somebody, that's your loot. You can throw it in the river for all you care. But for some reason, when you spend 8 hours breaking into a base, that's not your loot, and you need to leave it, and they need to be able to come back. And I disagree with that mentality. I think that's like antithetical to what DayZ has always been supposed to be. And I think it's disappointing that a lot of servers are kind of going in that direction of providing kind of these safe zones for loot.
If it was me though, I don't understand. Like you say, if you're going to break into a base, why the fuck wouldn't you rinse it dry? Why would you
Exactly.
need to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's part about you've got to consider the admin side of things. I don't know how many of you guys have run a server, but
Yeah, I have.
for the admins, it's a constant delicate balance of making sure that when people come in and they destroy everything, it's heartbreaking for the players, rightly or wrongly. You've got to just acknowledge the fact that it's going to be heartbreaking for someone to lose every single thing, like every wall destroyed, every container taken or destroyed. It's a case of, why would you do that? Then it starts to become a bit malicious and punitive, which is almost nasty to an essence. Maybe on a role play server, if there was a war between the factions, they'd come in and destroy it all and leave a note. We warned you, but in a general community, yeah, it's probably going a bit too far to destroy every single little thing.
That's what happened to me in Kyro when we got raided yesterday. The only thing that was left in that base was the 2 walls that we built.
The thing is, we weren't really bothered though, because it's
No, we weren't,
that
no.
server, right? You can get loot fairly easy, right? It's not like a RP server or like that sort of community of a server. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, we weren't bothered by that.
No, we weren't bothered. No, but
There's
So-
a risk with modding, I'm afraid.
But everybody
risk.
just they taken everything, destroyed what they could and stuff, and it is what it is. I mean, they didn't grief the base, they didn't like destroy all the walls and be like, because I feel like that's a bit malicious in my opinion. If someone goes out their way just to destroy a wall that they don't need to get into the basin or get out of the basin and just continuously do that, and just to dismantle someone's work and be an asshole, then that's different.
I disagree that that's being an asshole. I think that's just another part of DayZ. Calling back to what I said earlier.
Why is that not being an asshole, bro? Please explain.
Well, it's perhaps being an asshole, but it's being an asshole in a way that is fine within the confines of the game. Like I said earlier, like sometimes you'll go on a run with somebody for 2 hours and suddenly they'll raise their gun and be like, sorry, buddy, and then shoot you in the face. And that's what I love about DayZ is the freedom. But for some reason, when it comes to building walls, people think of it differently. Like it's suddenly too much of an asshole move to tear down somebody's wall, but it's fine to, kill somebody on site. And I don't think that there should be a discrepancy there. I think that it should be the same thing.
No,
There
the
should
difference
be
is
absolute
time with
freedom.
that, dude. The difference is time. When you get loot, right? Yeah, you spend a few hours or whatever. But when you're building a base, especially on a server that has next to no nails, if you're building a base and you're grinding for that, I mean, completely grinding, you spend at least 3 days just getting your base up, right? And then someone goes out the way to take it down in 2 seconds. Of course, they're going to be angry. Of course, they're going to be upset, and that's like that goes back to Boydie's point about being admins and running servers. We have to, when I run a server, I had to deal with that on a daily basis. That's why it's rules.
I feel
And-
like if it can be taken down in 2 seconds, then you've done
The
something
bi-
wrong and you need
The
to
biggest issue
reevaluate.
that you guys aren't recognizing here is, and Scale Speeder said something about it in there. He mentioned offline raiding, and that I think is where a lot of the butthurt comes from. One thing DayZ doesn't have is a way to defend your base when you're not online. Like if you're online, you rarely see people get butthurt if they're online and they're able to fight with the attackers and maybe they die and so on. Then it's a case of, oh, well, at least we tried, we were there. But when you wake up, log on, and someone's jumped onto your base at 2 o'clock in the morning and raided everything when there was no one there to defend, that's where the emotion comes in. And DayZ needs to implement whether it be a modder or DayZ itself, needs to implement devices that you can put in your base to make, to at least when you log in and see your base has been raided, but you see that your explosives or your booby traps have all been triggered, to know that some of those motherfuckers died. It's one of the. I'm playing Scum at the moment. It's one of the things they've got is traps, and when you log back in, you get a notification that your traps were activated. And you sit there and you chuckle. Motherfucker, you tried to raid my base and you died. Like landmines. But yeah, that's where a lot of the butthurt comes from. And I probably should have elaborated on that before, but it's offline raiding that upsets a lot of people. And we all know what happens. People, it's generally a faction thing. These factions that will jump on at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning when they know there's only 5 or 6 people on the server. Not that you'd ever get that on day one these days. That thing's fucking full 24/7, but they don't have bases. But yeah, when you're raiding offline, that's where a lot of the butthurt comes from. Like for you guys, Marks and Kyro, it must have been disappointing we weren't even here to have a chance to defend.
Honestly,
That
I mean,
was-
it was slightly.
Yeah, that was
but
the
I
only
wasn't-
annoying thing, I think.
I didn't really feel anything. Like it was like, that's annoying. Oh well, let's go and loot. Let's go and do something. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
Well, I think what happened there was as well, we had kind of loot somewhere else in another place as well, so we didn't
And that's
lose
smart.
100% of everything. We lost 95% of everything.
Oh, yeah,
but
we
we
lost
still
a
had
lot.
some. We had some stuff still there, so we weren't 100% broke.
And that's a
Couple
very
AKs
smart
with no
point
mags.
that people who get raided and lose everything, again, it's on you. I learned the hard way. And we started to diversify. We would have a few bases and we would split up the resources between those bases. So that if one of them got raided, particularly being a streamer, you're showing the inside of your base. So people watch your stream. Yes, they're not stream sniping you, but they're gaining meta information just by watching your stream. I've had raids done on my bases on DayZ Down Under where the exact path they took through walls led straight to what I called my vault, which had all the best loot in it. So it was either purely coincidence or the motherfuckers have been watching my stream and knew right now this one, then this one, and bang, we're in. They did it through the minimal, I had a maze of fucking paths set up and that. But yeah, so that's probably the one thing that, if you're doing offline raids, Foxy's saying in chat there, he's never been able to defend a raid in DayZ ever. Nobody online raids at all. Some people do, but most raids on these faction servers happen offline, Kyro.
Yeah, I mean, we tried literally the raid I've done from my recent upload. Right, we literally told him he was in his base. We said, all right, after restart, we're going to come raid you. We told him because we wanted an online raid, right? I mean, I do try to online as much as I can. There's somewhere I've just completely wiped, and it's good. It's a good feeling. But sometimes you just can't. Like if you go to a base, say you're traveling from, I don't know, say Vybor, for example, and then you go all the way to Severograd, right? You get there, there's a base, right? You're ready to raid. You know where the base is. You presume it's midday. You presume they're online. You get there, they're not online. What are you going to do? You're not going to turn around. You're not going to turn around and not raid them.
Yeah, and times like that, that's perfectly acceptable. It's when it's those 2, 3 a.m. in the midnight raids and that when the server pops at its lowest and you sit there and you go,
I know a few people who's done that.
I've done that, so I have to admit.
Yeah.
Doesn't the whole thing sort of hop back to just play the game how you want? Or if you want to murder everyone in the spawn zone, do that. If you want to go south, do that. If you want to raid someone, absolutely wipe the fucking base clean, you can do it. If you want to be nice and leave some shit, you can do it.
You chose to build a base. You chose to fill it full of loot. You chose to make an attractive target that people are going to target. Yeah. And Spud said earlier in chat, they used to have quite a few rules around raiding. Now they've limited it down to don't glitch, don't hack, otherwise have at it. Because it just gets too much at times for admins. The more rules they have, the more butthurt people get.
And also as well, the bigger the base, usually the easier it is to actually find a way in.
Yeah.
Without using like C4 or anything like that. Because there's always something that they'll leave out or they'll miss, and you can just get straight in.
Spend some time raiding. If you're a base builder,
Yeah.
spend some time raiding and speak to people who raid. You know, I had people reach out to me on DayZ Down Under and they said, Boydie, this is the problems with your bases. And I used to reach out to the raiding factions when I was a neutral trader and say, come and look at my base and tell me what's wrong with it. And, you know, after I got a bit of a decent reputation as a okay bloke, they'd come in and say, here's your weaknesses. If I was going to raid it, I'd be going through here. And they, you know, they'd show me shit, and I'd sit there and go, I had no fucking clue you could jump off of there and land on top of the wall. And it just became a learning experience for me. So in the end, it's your own responsibility to make sure your base is as raid proof as possible. But I think we've expanded this topic enough, and we've touched on it several times now. I think we need to have a chat about why we've got Kyro and Ceremor here, because it is related to the conversation. So, gentlemen, there was a raid that happened on the creators server.
Yeah, it was. So basically,
Was it an offline raid?
No, I suppose not. But we logged off, and there was only one left because it was like 4 a.m. So it's quite, long story. But basically, let's start from the beginning. So obviously, it actually started out with me and Frankie basically, and Granny had plans once the server opened, the CreatorZ server, to create like a B&B for survivors to go there, get food, get warm, just basically, survive and help them. And we're like, sweet, that's something cool. We'll give you a hand. So me and Frankie went over. We got loads of base building supplies and stuff like that. We helped her out. And then Ceremor gets on the server. This is just after the base got done. Like, so it's fully not fully complete, but it's getting done. And the first interaction Ceremor's squad has with Granny is basically saying she can't build here. One of his guys, I don't know who it was, but this is just coming from Granny, punched her, so she tried to run away and they shot her in the back. I mean, it is what it is. You shot, it's cool, but it's like, that interaction there was a bit meh. Okay, and obviously we came out, we fought and all this, and we kept fighting. To be fair, we were clapping his whole squad for about 4 hours, I'd say. I'd admit, about 4. And it was early in the morning at this point, and me and my squad decided to log off. And when we logged off, that's when everything just started kicking off, really. I mean, it wasn't like kicking off. To be fair, honestly, Ceremor, I don't have an issue with how you raided. Because it's not my base, by the way, if you didn't know. I didn't put anything in there. Nothing at all was mine. But Ceremor, I didn't have an issue how you raided. You're playing a character well. You're doing good stuff. I was enjoying it, honestly. The main issue was the guy you were with. What's his name? Paulie. And I think you did tell him a couple of times, to go downstairs. I think you were clicking on that he was being a bit of an asshole, which he was. He was being such an ass. You can literally hear Granny getting upset. Who's like the sweetest old lady you'll ever meet in your life, right? And at this point, I was in my bed watching it, right, comfy, and I just felt horrible watching it. It felt like bullying, honestly. And I know it's a game, and I know like we go back to, I'm all for how people play. I mean, me and RayRayyy had our encounters. I love RayRayy's content, for example, right? And I feel like,
you prick.
Yeah, exactly. But we should play it how we want to play it. I agree. I totally agree. But when it comes to a point, okay, the main issue I had was Dad was in the chat, okay, and literally I sent you screenshots, Boydie, of his chat, of Ceremor's chat, of his own subscribers telling how Paulie's an asshole. This is going too far. This is that. And it's quite heartbreaking to watch if you actually watch the VOD, because she's really sweet. Right, and maybe I'm more emotionally involved because I helped her for so long, and I don't know if that's the case. But it just, the way it was and the way it should have been, how it was a bit iffy. I didn't like it. It was a horrible experience to watch. Never mind what she was going through. And once it was all done, once all that was done, it was just like, okay. And then Frankie actually got to the base after it was all done, after they've wiped it, taken everything, after Paulie was basically accusing Granny of hitting her and just bullying Granny and just shooting next to her, punching it. It was quite horrible to watch. And then Frankie came in and she was actually crying, like really crying. And that's when I had enough. Like, like IRL crying, like not role playing, like genuinely crying, upset. And I messaged her, and so the reason she said it wasn't even about the loot. It wasn't about getting raided. It wasn't about this. It was about the behavior, the way they treated her. And it was, honestly, it was horrible. It was fucking horrible. And obviously, my boys, my boy Ripped actually said he went in Ceremor's chat, told him that he made her cry, and he's like, "Oh, what, to make me feel bad or whatever." He took no responsibility. It was like, "I didn't mean to." Fair play, he said, "I didn't mean to make her cry." But DayZ's DayZ. It should be played how we want and all this and that. But any decent human being, decent man, even if you're making someone really that upset to cry in real life, you deserve to message them. All right, you should message them in a private manner and be like, "Listen, I'm sorry, it went too far. It shouldn't have been like that. I didn't mean for it to happen," and at least acknowledge her being completely upset.
Okay,
all right? And
stop now. You've said a lot. I want Ceremor because there's a lot to unpackage there. Ceremor, I'd like you to respond now, mate.
Okay. This is very interesting. So my side of the story. We walk up to a base, we get into the server, we join the server specifically to raid a base because it was a low pop server and there's not much else to do. We hear this one in Yalavisco. We run into my friend Peanut and my friend Deadcode. And we do a really goofy, just the goofiest, like, "Hey, we're here to get some protection money. Hey, we want you to pay up. We want to come inside and take some of your boxes. What do you say? Bada bing, gabagool." We're doing the dumbest mafia roleplay in the world. Granny gets shot because she starts running. I mean, you shoot people that run. They could be going for a gun. You don't know. Anyway, I have a couple things that I really want to touch on. For one, there was a lot of commentary about bullying an elderly lady. I want to point out that Granny is not an elderly lady. She's mid-30s, probably early 40s, maybe. If you look at her streams, you'll see that she's doing a character on that day. The character is Granny, and she doesn't actually sound like an old woman. She's putting on a voice. And there's a lot of commentary like around this like elder abuse angle, but Granny was playing a character just like we were playing characters, and I think a lot of people miss that. I'd like to mention a direct quote from Kyro when I came up to the base. I was doing a silly spy thing. I was going, "Hello, I am a Russian man, not an Italian mobster," basically. And and so I was just trying to have a fun, goofy dialogue with them. And this was the response I got from Kyro. He says, "You know what's mad? You're just bullying a fucking old lady who wants to do something in the community because you think this is your content. You may be somewhat big, but your content is shit, mate. Shut up, clown." So at that point, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's how they're gonna play it. They don't want to."
Sorry, who said that? Who said that to you?
That was Kyro that
Yep.
said that to me. And so I was like, "All right, we'll have war then." And we had several times where we tried to open a dialogue and do a silly roleplay thing because my MO in DayZ has always been like, I don't try to kill people on sight. I always give people an out. Like when I do a stick up, I say, "All right, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to take some of your stuff." So we got down there and we're like, "Hey, it's a mafia. We just want some protection money. Let us in. Let us take a few boxes and we'll be out of your hair right quick." And they were like, "Fuck off, shit content. What the fuck are you doing here?" And so we're like, "All right, then we'll have a fight, sure." And so we came back and we had a fight, and they were rather upset about getting attacked, but there wasn't much else to do on the server. There was like about 12 people on at that time. There was 5 or 6 people in that base, and then there was us. We didn't want to go down south and run into nobody, do nothing. So we're like, "All right, we're having our little faction war." And I thought it was a fun time. It was very interesting. It seemed like they were having some fun. They were setting up lights so we couldn't see into the windows. Cool strategies. Anyhow, and then everybody logs off except for Granny, right? And Granny is still doing her character, her Scottish old woman character, which is, again, a character. She's not actually an old woman. Mr. Rips came into my chat afterwards and, again, hammered in on the old woman angle. She's not. She's a relatively young woman. And it was very odd for me to see that. Granny was playing along the entire time. She was in character, and it seemed very much like a character. And it was like, she was doing the, "I'll begrudgingly let you get our loot." And, Polly was this random guy that I ran into while we were playing. I'd never met him before in my life, but he was doing kind of a mad dog, like, "Hey, Granny, I'm going to shoot you. You better stay in that room or you're going to get blasted." It was all a very goofy thing. Um, and I did not see the issue with it whatsoever, or the gravity of the situation, as Kyro puts it, like as if I'm this horrible abuser or something. I find that to be a very strange thing to see.
One thing I will say is I haven't heard anything from Granny on this. Is there anything from her? Because at the moment, like Kyra, I'll be straight up. It's some people could say you're white knighting for her.
No. It's not even.
Do we
that,
have
right?
do we have anything from her? With her saying
I
her.
mean, if you want to talk to her, I can talk to her and get in contact with you maybe and speak on it further. But like I said, I didn't know. All right, first and foremost, I didn't know she wasn't an old lady. I genuinely thought that was like how it was. Okay, so okay, don't laugh, bro. All right, listen. So I was like, all right, so that's kind of it. But old lady or not, like you're making a person cry. You know, I'm not white knighting at all.
But was she role playing?
I mean, I think she was. I don't know. It's good. She does a really good accent. I don't know if she was role playing or not. You're gonna have to ask it yourself. Okay, but the whole point of it was, right, that she was upset, like really upset. She wasn't. That wasn't role playing. I know that wasn't role playing. Okay, and that's why I had an issue, and that's why I left the thing. Okay, and for him to be like, I don't know, it was like, oh well, Paulie was playing this cool character. It wasn't. Paulie was being an asshole, to say it politely. Honestly, he was, and. Yeah, no, I just the whole thing was a bit
Dab
horrible
in
to
chat
watch.
is saying she was legitimately in tears, out of character, as far
Yeah.
as I know. That's what was portrayed to me, at least.
Yeah, and that's why I had an issue, and that's why I left the server. And from what I believe, I think Ceremor ended up taking the loot, ditching the car because it broke, and then ditching the loot, and I don't think he went back on the server after that. And then after telling him, he just doesn't. I don't think Ceremor takes responsibility. It's like it seems like everything he does is right. Nothing he does is wrong. Like he's getting banned from servers left, right, and center. Nothing he does is wrong. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to apologize for the comment because me saying your content was shit and basically calling your clan was out of order. I was just out of rage. I felt bad for Granny because I feel like she was getting upset, and I am going to apologize for that because that was out of order. That's not me. I shouldn't be saying stuff like that. And yeah, so I said before the stream I was going to apologize to you, to Marks and all that, so they know for a fact that this isn't just like me saying it on the spot. I was actually planning to apologize to you. But far as you not taking responsibility, I feel like Granny, at least, honestly, if you just messaged Granny and like all your squad, not one of your squad messaged her, and just went, I'm sorry, you know, it shouldn't have went that far, you know, as a decent human being would, if someone's genuinely upset, okay, and you just went out your way, I wouldn't have this issue. I wouldn't probably even be here, in all honesty.
I don't think I did anything wrong. I think we had a very silly interaction, and I think that the person we were interacting with, perhaps she were upset out of character, but while we were there, everything that I saw from my perspective, she was playing along in character, and being a reluctant hostage that's like, yeah, just don't take the loot in this room. We're like, all right, Granny, we're not gonna take that. We just want some of the guns, and we're gonna hightail it out of here. Like we would do it. Like if you could go back to the VOD and see, we were doing a silly thing, and it was it seemed very much like a back and forth. Yeah, Granny would talk some shit, and then we'd be like, hey, Granny, you gotta get back in that room, all right? We're gonna cap you. Hey, we're the mafia. Whoa. And literally in that voice, like that's the dumbest voices in the world. It was a very silly situation that in game, from my perspective, there was no sense of her being extremely upset or anything like that. It seemed like a usual normal DayZ interaction where somebody is like maybe slightly peeved that you're taking some loot, but we were very, role play about it. We were like, all right, we're going to take like 5 boxes and then we're going to get out of here. Like they had a huge base full of all sorts of stuff. And Granny had this medical box and she was like, whatever you do, don't take my medical box. And I was like, nah, don't worry, Granny. We don't need that stuff. And like, we were playing along. It was like a whole back and forth sort of thing. And I thought it was very fun. I thought it was a very entertaining time. And I just, I disagree completely that we did some grievous act that we need to apologize for. We're playing normal DayZ,
Okay.
and it's not a PvE server. It's not a roleplay server.
We do. I mean, I'm not. I didn't say anything was when you were doing it. Like I said at the start, it was you in character. You're doing your thing. I enjoyed it. I did. And Peanut had his thing as well. The main person was Paulie. I feel like
that's the rando Polly that we brought in.
Yeah,
and we were doing a whole bit where like,
that's
because
not my
Polly
only
was
issue,
being
dude.
very like I want to shoot this lady. But we were doing a whole bit where he was like the mad dog, and we were like, hey, Polly's off the chain. Yo, Polly, get back down here. Get away from the lady. Yeah, you're like, it turned into a funny thing.
Surely you should realize, like, it got screenshots from your chat of saying that Polly's an arsehole, right? And surely if you read your chat as a streamer, you realize, okay, you know, and you did. I feel like you did a little bit, and you tried to take him out of the situation because he was, and you felt like that as well. Maybe you might not admit it, but he was, okay. And everyone who was watching could probably say the same thing about Paulie. But my issue with you, honestly, is the fact that you made someone else cry. Yeah, it might be over a game, okay, but you know, a decent human, a decent person would message and just at least apologize. At least, you know.
I didn't necessarily know. I heard Mr.
Yeah, you did.
Rips
No,
come
yeah,
into
it
my
came
chat.
in. You read it out, dude. You read it out. So how did you not know?
Well, I never saw it for my own, and then I kind of started to wonder the veracity of things because, for one, it was never an old lady in the first place. I never heard it from her myself. I heard it from a lot of other people.
Okay, so why didn't you message her to clarify then? Why didn't you not even message her?
What I'm struggling to understand is how did she end up so upset? Because it seems like she's a role player.
The way she was treated. Yeah, the way she was treated. She said it was behavior. She said it was a bit much.
Though.
It's the Paulie. Like I said, it goes down to Paulie. He was just being a complete asshole. He was saying like what you call it? He's making up shit, just being like, oh, you hit me or whatever, just to try and basically get her pissed off. She was getting a bit angry, saying,
Okay,
no, I never. And then he was trying to make shooter and
apologize, and not the person who played
your whole
Polly.
squad,
Also,
I'm saying your whole squad should have, not just you. I'm saying this is my issue with you, not minus Peanut and Big Craft or whatever what his name is. But my issues with them as well. They should apologize. The nice thing to do, even if you didn't know, right? You did read it out in your stream, but let's say you didn't know, right? You should have at least messaged her. You know what I mean?
Now,
Like,
someone in chat's got a good point here, Kyro. So, Ceremor, this Paulie guy was a random you met?
Yeah, first time I ever met him was on the Creator Z server, and I was like, "Hey, it's the Mafia!" And then he showed up.
Why
to the
is
base
Ceremor
later
responsible for Paulie?
Because he brought him into that situation. If I bring someone to that situation, right? Say, I don't know. Say for example,
but Ceremor's not his boss. It's not like he's in his stream team.
But okay,
it
but
seems like you're crucifying Ceremor here for the actions of someone that isn't Ceremor. But I'm just trying to understand this. I know very little about it. But
okay, but
it seems like Ceremor did nothing wrong. Ceremor was role-playing along, but it's this other guy, Paulie, and you're taking issue with Ceremor
because I feel like
because he's the biggest streamer.
Of course, no, because it all not just because he's the biggest streamer. That's not what my motivation is. But it's just in general. I mean, if they're squadded up, right? I see that as a squad. If they're all contributing to her being upset, even if it is just Paulie mainly, okay, maybe it just builds up, and that's just the way it is.
Did Granny actually say, "Guys, you're going too far"?
No.
How were they to know?
She never
with a role player who. How were they to know that she was upset at the time?
Know. I understand they couldn't know.
Ceremor, did you know that she was upset afterwards?
I heard that she was upset, but it was also with a lot of odd messages that seemed strangely guilt trippy. Again, like with 5 people going like, "How could you bully this old lady?" And again, not an old lady. And so it seemed like this odd kind of campaign to guilt trip me for playing DayZ as it's meant to be played. So I took everything with kind of a grain of salt. I didn't feel that I had anything to apologize for. I don't regret anything I did. It was a fun, goofy role-playing scenario on a PvP server. And if you really don't want to be attacked, if you are the kind of person, and this might seem a little bit cold, but if you're the kind of person to get extremely upset about a couple of pieces of loot being taken from you in DayZ, you should play on a role-playing server instead.
Have you reached out to her at all, Ceremor?
I have not spoken to her, no.
But you knew she was upset, though.
I'll honestly say, like, this honestly seems like a mountain out of a molehill to me for you, Ceremor, personally. This Paulie guy, maybe he went too far and he might have something to answer to. But if I was you, Ceremor, I'd just reach out and say, hey, look, nothing was meant by it. You know, if this Paulie guy pissed you off, I'm sorry, but that's out of my control.
That was my whole point. At least a message, you know. I just felt bad for her. I really felt bad for her.
I've been
Kyro's
sitting
saying that.
listening to the whole thing, to be honest, and it just sounds.
I'm
like
interested in your take on this because you and Ceremor are very similar.
I've listened to the whole thing from both sides, and like obviously I haven't heard this granny person's perspective, but it sounds like she had an idea of what role play she wanted to achieve in her head, like making the B&B, getting people to come there and send them on the way or whatever. And then Ceremony's squad have came. One of them might have been a little bit brash. I don't know what was said, and they've raided her. And after the fact, she's got upset because she's been raided and she didn't want the role play to go that way, even though she was role playing within the raid. So I think it's like you say. I think it's a mountain or a molehill. I don't see the big deal.
See, this I kind of foresaw this happening. For those who were watching the creators Discord, I put a post in there about what we talked about earlier. That some people, and I knew this was going to happen with the role players in particular. No offense to role players, but role players they play on servers where you're not allowed to kill someone unless it's in role play. And when you combine role players with the shitposter trolls like you two, Ceremor and RayRayyy, who just kill on a fucking whim, which is fantastic. Like I shared your kill of Sai, was it? Or Sil? Right when the EVR was happening. And that was just fucking pure chaotic chaos. That was just, it's one of my all-time favourite moments of DayZ when you killed him in that room. But
jokes to be fair.
RPers, they're stepping into a realm like I saw it time and time again, and a lot of it was from Granny. People where they were saying, we need to implement this or we need to implement that, but they forgot that they were playing a server that wasn't role play, and things were going to happen that were going to be outside of their comfort zone, where they're used to the security blanket that a role play server provides. OG, what do you think on this? You've been pretty quiet, mate.
Well, I just I think it's nuts because the thing is, right, is like even if you are going in for RP for roleplay or for PvP and you don't get it the way you want it, you still can't get arsey about it. You can't cry about it. If you are one of those people who gets upset over stuff like that, over games in general, just you need to have a break. You can't instantly just assume someone has to message you, apologize to you, or someone has to explain themselves. Like this situation with Ceremor and Granny, to me, it just
sounds pathetic, to be honest.
I want to clarify something here as well. Like this has got similarities to something that happened a few weeks ago on the show, Marks, where we talked about Jill and how she got actually targeted, though. I don't think that's about the only similarity is that, someone got upset. Other than that, I don't see any similarity between these because this wasn't a targeted. This wasn't a repeat event where they continuously went back and harassed Granny every time she rebuilt, raided her again. This was a one-off event. I'm sorry, Kyro, but where I am on this is other than there is an argument that, maybe Ceremor could have reached out to her, but I'm seeing people in chat and I kind of lean this way myself, is it's a video game. Nothing malicious was meant by Ceremor. Why should Ceremor have to reach out and apologise?
Listen, I get it's a video game, right? But if like you said, maybe if someone is, crying or whatever, they should take a break. But I still feel like, like if someone's that emotional to cry, I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a soft. Maybe I'm just soft. Okay, maybe I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I should message because I feel like I should. If I was part of something that made another person cry, I'd message them and I'd feel bad about it, and I'd explain the situation that I never meant to happen. At least, and that was my only issue with Ceremor and his squad. Really, realistically, obviously with Paulie as well, with basically taking it a little bit too far. But that was it. That was my issue, okay? And I don't know, maybe I'm just soft, eh?
And people are saying here as well, if you're crying over a video game, you are the problem. I don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's history between this. What's the other guy's name? The one who actually apparently went a bit too far.
Oh, Paulie.
Yeah. Maybe there's history between Paulie and Granny that we aren't aware of here. But I honestly feel that I think we've exhausted this topic because without Granny here, where I did assume, Kyro, that you had spoken to her and had.
Yeah, I spoke to her.
Yeah, had a bit more on this because I don't understand.
Well, I just wanted to see how she felt about it all, really, because I didn't want to bring it. Like, I asked her, "Do you want me to bring it up and stuff like about the whole upset situation?" She said she didn't mind and all that stuff. So I did go through it with her first before I did anything. So I'm not gonna. But I don't know. Maybe that's just my take in it, and I feel like it should have been handled a little bit differently. And then
I
honestly,
wouldn't
I
hold a
feel like
grudge against Ceremor for this, mate. You know, like I said
the
to you
thing is,
before the show
I don't
started,
hold a grudge against Ceremor.
I'm a huge fan of Ceremor. And that possibly affecting my view on this, but I am so happy to see that he is now one of the kings of DayZ streaming because this guy has been around for a long fucking time. And Ceremor's a lot of things: a man with a massive drinking problem, a first tier fucking troll, an unhealthy obsession with fucking dolls, but a nasty person. Yeah, he doesn't mind a bit of gossip and a bit of drama, hence why he's on the show right now. But I don't think Ceremor's an evil person at heart, mate.
Like I said, I don't hold a grudge on Ceremor. Like
Yeah.
I don't. I just feel like it should have. I feel like I needed to say something because I felt like it should have been handled differently. At least like afterwards, after the fact. You know what I mean?
Maybe, but that's I don't really agree with you there either because it seems like it's
We
much
can
ado
agree
about
to disagree,
nothing.
I suppose.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I think
Ceremor, any last words?
To wrap it up, really.
No, that's all well said. I'm glad I got to come here and say what I wanted to say because there's a lot of odd framework to this whole situation, and it's good to really clear the air. Thank you, Boydie.
It's because there's so many people in between rather than just me and Ceremor.
A lot of Chinese whispers, I think. A lot of Chinese whispers with this. So anyway, let's move on. We're going to drop this topic and we're going to actually talk about Creator Z closing. I am fucking so sad that happened. Way ahead of its time. It was a fucking amazing thing. And I want to give a massive shout out to RayRayyy and Ceremor. Ceremor, I believe you only went on it once. RayRayyy, I watched you the first time you were on there, and it's one of my all-time favorite gaming moments. But thank you guys for giving the server a shot. So many other people closed their minds to what was a great project by Dab and Erno Marks, and it was good to see two guys say, fuck it, let's go and have some fun on there.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good idea, but I don't think there was. Personally, I think they could have done some stuff different. I don't think having it on the Malsk, personally, now that's just my opinion, was the best map choice for it. Maybe they could have done Livonia.
Yeah, I agree.
As well, mixing RPers and PvPers into one thing, it was never going to end well. You could just kind of tell from when before the server even started, it was just never going to really end well.
They should have days where they're trying to get people on together as well, rather than just having the server over constantly. Because every time I was checking, it was like 2-3 people online.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying, fucking hell, I want to go on the server and fucking murder people.
I mean, just commit. I mean, I committed when there was like one person online. I'd just do my own thing, and then it start building up, and then I'd get my friends to commit as well, and then it start building up from there. That's the best way to get the pop up, and honestly, it worked every time. That's why.
That's true. You can commit, but like it depends when I'm streaming and I want to go and murder people.
I'll get that.
I don't want to be fucking streaming on a server with 2 people.
Yeah, there's no one. You don't find anyone like an hour, dude. Yeah, no, I get it. Your content's murdering people, having fun, being crazy. It's like that's standard.
Like I cry over DayZ all the time. I cry tears of joy when I'm murdering fucking peasants.
What would you have done differently, OG?
What for the Creator Z
Yeah.
server? Honestly, as bland as it sounds, I just would have made it a bog standard server on just on like I wouldn't have chosen Malsk, not the Malsk at all. It's great, but it's like there's a few things with it that are just not ready for that sort of that sort of like
intensity
gameplay. It's that intensity. Yeah,
I think they chose the Malsk because they knew that it was never going to be a full pop server, and it was going to have a higher chance of people bumping into each other.
Should have went Livonia though, because like Brenner,
I agree.
Brenner would have had like a popping.
Yeah, Livonia was definitely been the better map.
Well, it's just most people spent doing fires. That was it. Like that was you'd walk around for a bit unless you have the fire buff or whatever, and then you have to do another fire, and then another fire, then another fire, and it's a bit, if people trying to bump into each other, create content together, have a great time, and all that stuff. I feel like Livonia would have been perfect for it, just for exactly like Ray said. Brenner, South, you got the Cobra Prison, like they're the main hotspots. Everyone knows that who plays Livonia, and it would have been, oh my, do you know how much carnage it would have been to have Ray down in Brenner? Literally, everyone's spawning in. Next thing you know, you got to walk past Ray first before you get to Cobra Prison or something. Do you know how mad that'd be?
Yeah, you tall bitch.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
think it
liked
should
the
just be
fact
left.
that they went with Demolsk because you've got Volkuda and so many people turning up there, and it just, for what the server was created for, content creators interacting. To me, it seemed like the logical choice. Smaller map, fewer places of interest, more chance of why people were watching it is we wanted to see interactions between streamers. Like I didn't get to see the raid on Granny, but I got to watch Ray. Even to the point that he managed to make people turn off their fucking radios. He was just going so mental. Because they couldn't handle listening to this fucking barely understandable gibberish that he was spouting over the radio. And then when he did bump into people, it was exactly what I expected from Ray Chaos. And to their credit, most of those people went along with Ray as well.
I think I'm bumped into Frankie for the first time in the hospital, so I instantly murdered him. And like that's the thing. Like things like that happened all the time in the server. I just feel like because obviously Erno had some health problems, and if he wasn't unwell, the server probably would have attracted more attention because he would have been putting his time and effort into it as well.
Mm-hmm. And Kyro, you had a great interaction with Ray. You said you weren't going to trust him, and you bumped into him.
I followed on Twitter because of it, dude. I fucking love Ray. Like, it's jokes to watch. I'm always in his stream lurking and just seeing him go crazy. It's
and
nuts.
to Ray's credit, I was watching him when you killed him, and I was like, "That's Kyro. I know what Kyro's going to do here." And Ray was like, fuck!" And then he came running straight back, and it was, "If you war, you want. Oh, it's war you'll fucking get." It was fucking amazing.
He went on the roof. I popped him in again, and then I was like, "Shut up, Ray!" After it was jokes, man.
I went on the roof and you were with someone else, and and you went to him, "Don't go up there. That's fucking what Ray does for a living."
Sil was about to go up the ladder. I was like, "Sil, do not go up there," because you know what? You got up the ladder, and I was like, "As soon as you get up there, he's stun locking you off that fucking roof." You realize that, right? So that's what I thought in my brain. I said, "Sil, don't go up there. He does this for a living. Watch, just stay here, all right?" And I swing round, go to the other apartment, come up, and I just pop him, and then after, like, "Shut up, Ray, I'm sick of your shit." It's so funny, man. Honestly.
And that is what was great for the creators service, Ceremor, was a lot of people said it's not going to be organic content. I don't agree because yes, it was a case of it was only streamers and a few other select people, but it still created for some amazing moments, Ceremor.
I feel like one of the inherent flaws with the Creator Z server was the restrictive whitelist, because streamers generally, a lot of them, I know myself included, are like, all right, we got to get that hot content. Can't be boring. Can't let that viewer number go down. You gotta get into the action. And so playing on a low pop server is difficult. It's a hard sell for sure. But I like the idea in theory. So one thing I've enjoyed about some of the day one servers is that they become kind of the de facto streamer servers. And I enjoy it because when you get into a firefight, you can usually go back, like somebody will message you and be like, "Oh, hey, you just killed this or whatever," and you can go back and be like, "Okay, shit, I've stopped my stream. I'm going to go watch their perspective and see like, oh, they ducked into this bush. Oh shit, they hid in that vent. Holy fuck, that's so interesting." And like, I think people love the multiple perspectives, or like if somebody's doing some sort of spy thing and like going undercover, and they the viewers love that shit because they can watch one side and they're like, the other person doesn't know. And I feel like Creator Z was trying to cop the offline TV Rust phenomenon.
Yes,
but the problem was there just wasn't quite enough people to make it worth it for streamers.
One of the things that got me doing Ceremor was usually when I watch Twitch, I pick a channel and I sit there and I watch it. But Marks, I was actually watching Kadiak at one stage, and I found myself flicking between channels. I know who Kadiak is. I watch it from time to time, but I don't watch her a lot. But I was interested in creators. Obviously, we talked about it on the show, and I watched her place a bear trap. And probably about half an hour later, RayRayyy decided he was going to jump on, and I jumped on over to watch RayRayyy play. And I got to watch the bear trap that Kadiak placed just randomly in the middle of fucking bushes actually get RayRayyy killed when he was trash talking some guy. And Marks, for me, it was great because one of the beauties of this is got people watching people they might not have ever seen before. You know, because I jumped straight back over to Kadiak's stream. I checked what the meta rule was, and I went, Kadiak, remember that bear trap you placed? You scored a big fish. And I clipped the moment because RayRayy's reaction was fucking gold. It was like, who the fuck put the fucking bear trap here? And it got him killed because he was trash talking this guy about to try to kill him, and then he gets his legs broken. And it was fucking brilliant.
I was about to murder some fucking guy, and I walked on a fucking bear trap and broke my leg.
It's like a multiverse, isn't it, for DayZ
Yes.
content creators, the creators he serve. It was literally like a multiverse, and I think that was what the beauty of it was, because it's like, realistically, as sad as it sounds, it's not really the server wasn't really there for the people playing, the creators playing it. It was more for the viewers who wanted to see their two creators interact with each other somehow. So it was literally just like Family Guy and The Simpsons meeting together, you know?
And that's what the beauty of the server was, and what a lot of people failed to see, Kyro, was the opportunity to see people who, you know, admittedly it did cause some drama, you know, particularly because of the factor with the RPers struggling with the likes of RayRayy's and Ceremor's playstyle and that. But it got some amazing interactions happening that you're not normally going to get to see on a regular basis. I know some creators avoided it because they didn't want, you know, just to be only running into streamers. But sometimes that's what the people wanted to, you know. You look at your chats when you bump into someone, they go fucking apeshit when you bump into someone else who streams, don't they?
Yeah, no, it's usually the case. Yeah, like when I bump into, like, I don't know, say Frankie, right? Yeah, I usually I never would play with Frankie, you know, but because I was in that environment, we became good friends and we played loads. I mean, and then obviously we go RayRayyy, and then you got people saying, "Oh, is that Frankie? Is that RayRayyy? Is that Red Tie? Is that Nazar? Is that you know what I mean?" Or like, "Oh, like cool, do this to RayRayyy, do this to Sil, or like team up with Red Tie." You know, it's just stuff like that, and I feel like it's good content for people to watch, and they really enjoy that, because if they're watching like a YouTuber or a streamer and they really enjoy the content, enjoy the personality or whatever it is, to see them create content together must just be fantastic for them. So I feel like it was honestly, I was gonna go back for a couple of days. Honestly, I missed it after a while when I left. I was like, oh damn, it does suck. It does suck that it closed, but I can see why. You know, I mean,
maybe instead of them doing it over like a month period, why don't they do it over like a weekend?
Where all creators just hop on. Yeah.
They give just a certain date. They're like, okay, these 3 days over this weekend, it's going to be open, and it will close on the final day. Have at for those 3 days and see what you can do.
I hope to God Dab and Erno bring it back. Would you jump on it again if they brought it back, Ceremor?
Maybe, depending on the player pop. I know that there was some stuff about like, oh, we just have to get in the server and then the pop will go up, but I could not bring myself to join a low pop server from the get-go. It's very
and it is hard
for me
with guys like you.
I feel
like you rely on that constant flow of frenetic energy, like RayRayyy does, like Lax Hawthorne does. The slow, boring streamers don't get the numbers you guys get. You guys get the numbers because your streams are interesting. There's a non-stop flow of action, Ceremor.
Yeah, exactly. And if I were to, you know, if I were Dab, what I would do is, instead of locking the server out to a very small pool of, you know, whitelisted creators, I would want a server where anybody can play on it, but they have to be streaming. So like you just get a server where you know that every perspective exists there. I think that would be fascinating, and that would encourage me to hop onto it. So you know, you could get any random person, you have them make their DayZ name, their Twitch name, so that you can vet or like have a program that checks between, and then just like you'll have a view of every bit. And I think that having that sort of pervasive viewpoint of everything would be very interesting.
Yeah. It's one of the things I loved
Cool,
about it,
cool.
Marks, was being able to, flick from stream to stream and see it from someone else's perspective. Someone just killed RayRayyy, jump over there and watch what they're doing and seeing their perspective on it, and it was great
Yeah.
like that.
It's always great to see, like, when you have two streams open, say they're in like a fight or something like that, you can see one person duck off somewhere else, but the other person doesn't know where they're going. You're like, you can just see this kind of story building from both sides. It's a really cool experience.
Thing is that the only issue is there's a lot of meta as well. Like people who don't understand
Yeah.
meta, like that was another big issue. Like especially in my stream, I'm like, listen, don't meta, don't tell me where this guy is or where that other guy is. Like it does get annoying because obviously you're trying to play the game and experience it yourself. You don't want to know exactly where you're going. Sometimes you just want to run around and bump into someone. You don't, and the meta was a big issue for me personally.
It's very hard thing to moderate those metas. Just
Yeah, because they just come
it's
out of
always
nowhere.
gonna
They just
happen.
pop in
Yeah.
your chat and be like, "Yeah, RayRayy's here,"
Exactly.
or they'll be like, "Frankie's over here," or it's yeah.
Meta's impossible to police, but it's up to the person that's receiving the information to tell
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
subconsciously
I agree.
changes how you play as well. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. It's like if somebody comes into your chat and they're like, "Oh yeah, this person's over here and this person's over there," you will subconsciously not go over
Yeah.
there because you just feel like you're either in the wrong for listening to them. You feel like a stream sniper or something.
Yeah.
It
Even
it's
if you see it, dude.
irritating.
Even if you look at it and you don't acknowledge it, you've just seen it. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
like,
So
oh great, it's like a
yeah,
shield.
it's like fuck.
Yeah.
I know he's there now. In my brain, I know he's there. Now you'll play to that because you just do. Yeah, it's just
That
it's not
comes
great.
down to what RayRayyy said, though. You've got to moderate your chat. Have good moderators who can get in there and delete the meta. Like I said, even when I went into Kadiak's chat, I was cognizant of I didn't want to completely ruin it for her. And I just said, "You caught a big fish," I think was the words I used. So that in her mind, she's probably sitting there going, "Who did I get? Who's on right now? Who did I get?" And I posted the clip in. Dad created a channel so that people could post clips from the server, and there was some fucking highlights in there. There was some really good stuff. Some just amazing moments got created on that server. That yes, they could happen on any other server. More likely going to be day one because every man and his dog's playing those servers. But it was great to have this opportunity, and a lot of work went into it. And that's what people have got to remember. That you've got, Dab in particular, and Erno, and not just Dab, but Dab had some mates like Lieutenant Masters and War Dog and that, create some truly amazing custom mods for that server to enhance the experience for everyone who played on it. Like, even just that simple little inventory movement noise. Oh my God, that was great. I'd love
I
it,
love
just
that,
jumping
yeah.
in there and
Yeah.
moving the items around. And it wasn't just one
Yeah.
sound for everything. It was if it was a metal object, it made a metal sound. If it was a fabric, it made like a fabric rustle. It was brilliant.
Shotgun shells were the best. Oh my! I used to just move them around just to hear the sound. Honestly, it's like I was like, oh, it's so like it's sort of therapeutic. Honestly, for me, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
But
Dab's
yeah.
been doing a lot of crazy stuff recently, like stuff that I've thought has kind of belonged in DayZ for years. I think he threw in a sound for when a grenade is thrown,
Yep.
which I feel like is so key. Like
Yep.
currently we have silent grenades in DayZ, so you
Yeah.
blow up and
Yeah.
you're like, what the fuck? And you don't realize that one landed like right next to your face. And there's like another one where it obfuscates the rounds inside of a magazine, which I think
Yep.
is very cool. Because you shouldn't like have the psychic view of like, oh, I got exactly 6 bullets. And yeah, he's been doing a fantastic job with the mods and stuff.
Well, that sort of
Dab-
segues into the next topic, Ceremor, the 1.12 experimental patch. What did you think of it, Marks?
Interesting.
Yeah, on that point, guys, I'm
It
actually
was
going to
these-
leave anyway because I can't. I'll see you in a
No
bit,
worries,
guys.
Kyro.
All right,
Thank
I've
you for
got some
coming
shit to
on,
do,
mate. I
so
do appreciate it.
It's all good. All right, lovely to meet you, Ceremor, and OG as well. Obviously,
You
don't
too,
know
mate.
you guys, so all right,
See
catch
ya,
you, big guys.
Ceremor,
Bye.
Kyro,
Bye.
blow each other kisses.
Mwah.
Hand job.
Okay, so yeah, Marks, the patch.
It was interesting. I made my usual video on it, and I thought a lot of people would have been very angry, annoyed about it, but I was very surprised that there were a lot more positive comments than I than I thought.
I have two
Um,
words. UncleRayRayyy, peeling potatoes.
I haven't fucking played it, so I don't know what that means.
And pull your trousers up.
I've heard though, I don't know if this is true, that a shovel and a sledgehammer is no longer a one-tap knockout. Is
True.
that what a fucking load of shit? How am I meant to fuck over?
But
I
yeah,
think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake because if you're a freshie and you come up against a guy who's got a
Yes.
fucking M4, why don't you have the opportunity to knock him out with one hit? I don't understand why that's.
I've never liked the melee.
I think it has
No.
something to do with the new shock balance and damage balance they've done. I haven't fully tested yet, but I think there's something. It's something to do with that and what they've done there. They've done a lot of stuff to knockouts and shock. You get more shock and you knock out more now, and they've done stuff with bullets and stuff. So I think it has something to do with that, but it is kind of annoying you can't one tap anymore.
So basically fucking
Kadiak's
over-
saying rubber slugs are OP. Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah. If you're up close, they'll instantly knock you out. Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
good.
more to get towards the gunplay that is melee now. It sounds like.
Foxy's saying uncon is a lot more common.
Yeah.
We've been
I've
wanting
done some
that.
more
We've
fun.
been complaining about how many times you go. Yeah, it must frustrate the likes of you, Ceremor and RayRayyy, with your play style, that nearly everyone you hit dies. You know, you guys like to play with your food a bit, don't you?
I love a good torture. Yeah, I must admit, I love a good. I prefer mentally fucking someone than just kill them.
Oh,
Like if you mentally fuck someone, like, and you let them believe they're gonna live, and then you fucking kill them, that's better than a straight up kill.
I kind of like both sides. I do enjoy the finality of like, big round hits somebody's head and then boom, they're just gone. They're just instantly like it adds kind of to the terror of the game. Like I definitely wouldn't want it want the like pendulum to swing to the point where it's like always a knockout, like you always get a chance to get back up. I still want there
You need to be rewarded for that accuracy with a headshot.
Yeah.
I don't
And
feel like you have
I do
accuracy
miss the
anymore.
old. I don't know if you remember. You probably remember the old unconscious and DayZ where it could last between
10
2
to
and
20
20
fucking
minutes.
Yeah.
You wake
It-
up
it
30
longer.
minutes later with all your comrades dead around you, and then you see somebody looting the bodies, and you're like, "You didn't get me. I'm coming
Yeah.
back."
And yet you were grey
kind of
screen
miss that
because you'd been
variability.
bleeding all that time and you're like, fuck,
Yeah.
do I go for the kill on this guy or do I bandage or yeah. Oh,
Right. Like if anything, if you're going to survive like a beefy sniper round to the head to like a shitty helmet, if you're going to survive that, I would like it to be like, a longer uncon state,
Yeah.
not just the 30 seconds, like just have some consequences, and that would make it very interesting.
Yep.
They've
Definitely.
done some other stuff like 5 or 6 apparently one taps to the chest. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's
Well,
100%
Kadiak
true,
is
but
saying in chat there, I got one rubber slug to a worn plate carrier and went uncon. So that's a bit interesting. You would think a plate carrier would protect you from a rubber slug. It'd do basically nothing to you.
Don't
Mindlessness
stop it
is
down there.
saying rubber slugs are 150 shock damage now.
Yeah, the rubber slugs are stupidly powerful, but you have to be up close.
Yep.
Yeah.
5.56 within 70 meters to the chest is a one tap. One tap dead or one tap uncon?
That I'm not sure of.
Lad saying he
I
loves the
believe
new
dead.
balancing, but yeah, it's I don't know. Probably the only thing that surprised the fuck out of me was having to peel a potato. It was like,
Yeah.
where?
Some
What
of
was
the
the?
food has like a dark label now as well, doesn't it?
Sorry.
Like some of the food now has like a dark label, so you can't see what the contents are. I saw that on someone's stream. I can't remember who it was. So it was like a tin of beans, but the label was all faded, so you couldn't see what it was.
I haven't seen that.
Unless I dreamt it.
Maybe. They have added new food and stuff, so it might have been one of them.
So they're saying Wobo's released a video. I haven't seen that. I'll have to go watch that.
Yeah, he did.
And Foxy's saying it's a new can of food. Yeah, the unknown food can, the unknown meat. So it's basically spam then.
I thought I was fucking hallucinating again there. Fucking hell.
Yeah, the potato peeling thing doesn't make sense. Just, because it takes, the time it takes to peel a potato is about the same time it takes to open a can of food. So it's just, they're kind of worthless now.
It's
You need a
survival.
knife
I wouldn't
to,
care about
peel
the
a potato?
skin.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Why would you want to anyway? I thought you get like valuable nutrition from eating the skin.
Yes, the Yeah, it's one of those funny things. Everyone peels their potatoes, but the main nutrition's in the skin on a potato.
Yeah, and it's survival. Surely that'd matter. Come on, this is a real major issue in DayZ. What?
If you wanted to
What's going
survive, you would
on?
be deep throating that potato. You wouldn't be fucking peeling it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
swallow it
pump
whole.
it. You can't
all
break
you'd
it
want to
open.
do is
Deep
wash
throat
it.
in a bit.
But you'd do that with most things,
Yeah.
carrots and fucking everything. You'd wash them just to get the dirt off of them. But other than that, fucking mung away.
Yeah, imagine dying from hunger and you've got to fucking peel a potato.
Yes. Oh, I found a potato. What? I can't. What? Is this a fucking nut now? I can't eat it.
Yeah.
Oh. But
But they did
over,
add-
what was the feedback on your video on it, Marks?
I'll check now. It was overwhelmingly positive, which was a surprise. Because usually
s-
these videos are just.
They said they were going to work on polishing the game. Scalespeed had put in chat before. You can use greenhouses now.
Plant space. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
Give us the old melee system back.
Oh, please. Oh,
You're on
That's-
about having the old unconscious system, but the new, honestly, the new melee system in DayZ. I'll be honest with you, I hate it. I have
It's very
hated it.
goofy.
I've hated it ever since it came out. I really miss, I miss being able to go up to players and just like, bang, jab in the face, and just aim. You actually felt like you had that control, and like RayRayyy was saying about the shovel, being able to one hit somebody with it. You not being able to do that now. You could do that with in the old patch with the old melee system. You could do that as long as you accurately aimed at the head and hit them.
Yeah, in the olden
now it
days,
just
you
feels
saw
like
the axe hit their
RNG.
neck and they would
Yeah.
die. And now
it
it
just feels like
not
RNG
real.
now.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like when you hit somebody in DayZ now. It feels like you've got a fish and you're hitting them with it, and it's just and you're hearing like a slapping noise. It's going through them. You don't actually feel the force of the shovel hitting them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Fist fighting was meant. You asked Miss Fu in the chat about how I used to fist fight in DayZ. I was unstoppable. I used to love it, and then they took it out, and now I just feel like I've lost my purpose.
Fucking
Honestly.
pillow fist.
And
I
people are
used to- I
saying that
love
the
being-
zombies are a lot tougher now.
Yes.
Yeah,
What do we think
which
on
is
that?
good because I think it's good.
I fucking
need-
fight zombies all the time as it is. Fuck me.
I haven't tried
Um,
the experimental yet, but I've heard that like it's kind of incentivizing the use of silenced pistols. Like that won't draw every zombie from 200
Yeah.
meters anymore. So that sounds interesting to me.
They've done a lot of stuff with zombies. Like now, if you're unconscious, the zombie won't keep attacking you. Like before, if you got unconscious, you didn't really have a chance to survive if there was zombies around you because they just attack you. But now they won't. Zombies before used to just chase you constantly. They'll give up now after a certain amount of time,
Yep.
a short amount of time. They've done stuff now. So if you open a door, a zombie will hear the door open, I think, and it can aggro,
Yeah.
which is a bit. I don't know how that's going to work, but and then I think that's mainly it for zombies. They've done some cool stuff with zombies and obviously buffed them, and then they're harder to kill now, take more hits.
I
So
think
if
it's-
you go to Vortuga, you're gonna get fucked on the masculine because that's like a zombie hotbed.
Yeah. I think it's great though that they've so one of the biggest problems has been you hear people say DayZ's a game about zombies. I don't always agree with that argument. I think it's more about players. But the zombies haven't been a threat. It's good to see them finally becoming a threat where you don't need to install a mod like PVZ for there to be yeah.
I
And
remember
zombies.
back in 2015, there was a month, I think, where they had an update and for some reason they broke zombies and there's no zombies in the game.
There was
And
one.
it didn't feel different at all. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be very interesting to see zombies have more of a presence. I don't know if it's gonna be. I don't know if I'm gonna like enjoy it yet. I haven't tried quite yet. But I think it will be a fascinating experience.
I remember that patch well, Ceremor. There was one zombie,
Yeah.
and it was all the way up in Novo, up in the northeast there. And I used to have fun dragging that zombie across the map so that he would turn up somewhere else just to fuck with people, and they'd be like,
I didn't
"Oh,
even know
a zombie's
about
back
that.
in the game." Yeah, no, not many people knew, but there was one zombie that spawned. But I remember that. A game about zombies, and they don't have any zombies in the game.
It was so bad that they actually let it get to that point. You think of all the hate that DayZ gets. You know when you see the DayZ dev team actually post on Twitter anything to do with DayZ, you read the comments and you see all those like arseholes who are just constantly
Ugh.
lipping into it. Imagine like the then imagine what they were thinking. I bet they were twiddling the fingers, going, a zombie game hasn't got any zombies in it. Wow, I have every reason to bully them now.
Yeah.
It's like they brought that on themselves. They should not have done that. It really should have been something that got fixed really quickly. It took quite a while, if I remember rightly. I do remember that patch. It took quite a while for it to.
Yeah.
Was it like a
Yeah,
month,
they were gone
Ceremor
for a
said?
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's especially like me. I study game development at university, and when we're doing stuff like when we're doing the business side of things, and we're learning about like demographics, and that is one way to really mess up your game. Get rid of the main function and not have it for a month.
And
They
nothing.
released it.
Sorry.
Sorry, buddy. They released it on a really bad day as well on April Fools. Probably
Yeah.
not the best day to
God.
release the update, because I was there as well. I was like, I don't know if this was real or not. And a lot of people were also like that as well. And people, when I upload the video as well, people thought it was an April Fool's joke. They still do. They don't believe that it's an actual update. So
What do you guys think
I
about
also
the
think about that.
Pokemon egg?
I haven't used it yet.
No.
I want that to be canon.
Somebody put in the chat about Xbox fix cars dead game. I was actually going to bring this up as well with DayZ. Was bringing it to Xbox was like also really bad.
I started on the
timing as
Xbox.
well. Oh, you started on the
Oh,
Xbox?
Yeah, I
Bloody
started
hell.
streaming on the Xbox, DayZ. That's how I started.
Jeez.
Sorry, they're
Too much
saying in
PC,
chat
so sorry.
Yeah.
that the people didn't believe the egg. I didn't. I thought it was an April Fool's joke. And yeah, sure enough, you can. I watched that video, and you can catch a bear and keep it in your little leg, and then chuck it back out again, and the bear pops back out again. It was like, look, yeah, it's silly, but I like it because it's just, you know, it's
And it's only in for Easter. That's all. Like,
yeah,
it'll be gone then
it's
afterwards,
just
so,
something
you know.
fun. It's for shits and giggles, folks. Wouldn't it be good if you could catch a player in it? Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Run around with UncleRayRayyy in your pants.
That'd
I
be
won't
pretty
mind.
good.
Come here, Ray Ray.
And Dab saying he didn't have anything to do with the egg. But no, I think a solid patch. The only thing that had me questioning it was why they brought in peeling potatoes. It was like, did anyone actually ask for this?
No
That's a
idea.
very odd choice. That's
Yeah, it was probably a bit of an own goal in my opinion. The peeling potatoes, and like you said, I could think of nothing worse than finding a potato and not having been able to find the knife, even though 2 stones equals a knife. But dying of starvation because you couldn't peel a fucking potato.
sometimes they
happened to
seem
someone.
to oh god. Sometimes they seem to go against like quality of life changes for DayZ. Like that is just actively adding to the frustration of this game. I feel like the one thing I wish they would do is actions. When you peel a potato, when you open a can, when you go fishing, when you cook a piece of meat, just make it a click and not a hold. That would make this game, like, that would literally be the one change that would make this game twice as good to me, because there is so many things you have to do where you're just mashing down on mouse 1 for like sometimes for like 2 minutes when you're cooking a piece of meat, or 10 minutes when you're trying to fish. And I wish they would focus a little more on quality of life than making the quality even worse.
I thought recently a cool thing that, because you know the way you can't eat while running, eat or drink while running.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if you could eat or drink, but you lost like a percentage of the food that you're eating because obviously you're running, so it'd like fall or splash everywhere. I think that'd be a cool thing to see in the game as well.
So you're talking about while sprinting.
Eating works.
While sprinting, yes, sorry, yeah, while sprinting.
What like the way the inventory works now with food and drink, and even mag drilling as well, like loading rounds into your magazines. I find it crazy, especially when if you think about where DayZ was when it came out, and the way the inventory was. Does anyone else remember when you'd right click in your inventory and you'd
Yeah.
get a message saying receiving, because your your inventory would fully freeze for a good like 5 minutes sometimes. I find it crazy that they've added more steps to your inventory to actually get something to work. So pick up an item, get it into your hands, get a knife, drag it over the item, open it, eat it, hold it down. They're asking for it to break.
Yeah.
But yeah, running with food would be nice. That would be nice.
would be a cool thing, yeah.
Thoughts on the new rifle, the Scout or the Pioneer as they're calling it?
What ammo does it take? I forgot. I
Five,
saw
five,
it.
5.56.
5.56. That's it. Yeah.
It's good because number one, it's a gun you can actually find. You find it at police cars, so it's not impossible to find. It only takes an ACOG scope. It doesn't take anything higher in range, and it takes an M4 suppressor. And when you put an M4 suppressor on it, from what I've seen, it's super quiet,
I
like
think it's
quieter than
aced.
any other things. It's pretty cool.
It's like a military gun mixed. It's like a blend between military and civ gun, isn't it? It's like if you want a gun that looks pretty sexy, you can get one of them. So
It does decent damage as well, but it's not too overpowered either. So it's kind of
middle ground.
and
I wanted
everybody
to
on console.
I wanted to
Everyone
touch on a
console had
comment
to
from
be-
the Discord, Marks. Vehicles.
Oh, here we go. Vehicles.
So
I-
no
yeah, there was-
update again to vehicles.
No, not yet. Everybody, it seems like every patch, everybody tries vehicles out, even though in the patch notes there's no mention of vehicles being fixed or touched at all. Believe me, you're going to know when vehicles are fixed in this game because everybody will be making videos and everybody will be talking about it. There's no point constantly checking if vehicles are fixed because nothing's been said officially about it or anything like that. So if you're in game and you're at a new update and you get into a car and you die and crash because of it, it's your own stupidity for trying it. Cars are not fixed. They won't be fixed. And when they're fixed, you'll know about it. So just leave the cars alone. They're too dangerous. Just leave them alone.
How long
It'd
are
be
we going to
quite a
give them
major
on
thing.
cars though? It's been a long time, Ceremor.
I've always wished. Well, okay. There is a time. There is a month, another month in DayZ, not the No Zombie month, but another month when I consider DayZ to be at its absolute peak, and that was the experimental when they added the V3S, and it was the trucks would spawn in every restart. They would have no parts to them. They just worked. They were invulnerable. Yes, they would wig out, fly into the sky. They would just the handling was horrible. But you wouldn't get instantly murdered because you were just safe when you were in the truck. And I think that was the absolute most fun that DayZ ever was. And I really wish they would, especially while cars are so incredibly broken, I really wish they would walk back the difficulty of accessing them and like the ability to stash them. I wish I've always had this idea of like having maybe have some cars that you can stash or put in your base or whatever, but have a couple of cars that are just these like shitty junkyard like burner cars, and they just respawn every restart and they just work. Like they'll fuck off and die when the server restarts so somebody else can grab one, but just give the players a car to work with that they don't have to spend 8 hours finding 4 different parts for, finding gasoline, finding a container for water, filling up the radiator, only for it to glitch out and crash and kill them. Like I feel like they could make it easier while things are broken at the very least.
Sure.
A lot of people in chat are saying about the server side performance of cars that a lot of the time the servers where people are complaining about cars are usually those servers that have a lot of McMansions and mega bases and high player pops and stuff like that. It impacts the cars a lot. And War Dog's even in chat saying there's more variables that make cars bad. I generally haven't had too many issues. I don't understand a lot of the hate surrounding cars. Yeah, sure, I've had the occasional, but usually it's because of I'm entering a base bubble, particularly a base that's got a lot of loot. So it just comes down to learning the server you're playing on. And when you know you're going to be entering an area where there's potentially going to be bases, slow the fuck down. The slower the car. Yeah, sorry.
It also depends on the pop. If you're on a full pop server, cars are just going to lag a bit more as well. Also depends on your ping. Like I played on servers like that have had 20 people on them. Cars have run perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Good ping, low pop server. They've been perfect. The second that pop goes up, cars get bad, and if your ping's bad as well, they're just going to start flying off and taking off. So you just got to be kind of careful on the server that you're on. If you're on a high pop server, they're just not going to work as well. And it's the majority of people I see complaining about cars is the console players. Don't see many PC players. It's always console players complaining about them, and I don't think they understand that it's a bit more than the consoles just can't handle the game.
Scalespeed is saying that they run beautifully on his Xbox Series S.
They might run, they could, but I think again it probably has a mix to do with servers and then probably the consoles as well. It doesn't
Don't
help
use
it anyway.
cars anyway. Cars are
Yeah.
shit. Don't use cars. You don't want cars. They're
Just a
like,
drum in, boy. I'm gonna have to shoot off, buddy.
No worries, Ray. Thank you so much for coming on, mate.
yeah.
No worries.
Have a good one, Ray.
See you, Ray.
All right.
But yeah, so just be patient, folks. That said, I think a lot of the fix for cars will come from Armour because they won't release an Armour game without vehicles working. So, yeah, keep an eye on
Hopefully,
the
Armour
unannounced
fixes it,
military
yeah.
sim that BI is working
I'm
on.
quite intrigued to see how that works because, like, the thing is, well, I think a lot of people who quit DayZ when like the new engine came out and everybody sort of wanted to see what had been fixed. I think after DayZ promised the Little Bird helicopter, and then it wasn't released, a lot of those players were disappointed, and then they thought, oh, at least we'll have cars that'll work, and then they didn't work with the new engine and with the server performance and the networks. So I just think people sort of expected vehicles to work. That's really it. I think they just with the new when DayZ completely changed that day. I think they expected everything to work somehow. So I guess I don't really blame those people who are annoyed that cars are still not working because they are quite a big part of the game. But
Whether you like them or not,
Obviously.
they are.
yeah, whether you like them
they
or
are.
not, they are. They if you look at any popular culture, including involving zombies, cars are always there. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how they do it for Armour though, because I don't see how if they've started developing Armour 4 on this engine, then surely they can figure something out for DayZ.
I'd be
We'll
very surprised
see.
if they didn't.
Yeah,
Very,
I
very
would as
surprised.
well.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'd be quite intrigued to see as well what sort of input the DayZ team get from the Armour developers as well. I do wonder how much contact they have. I don't know if Armour's developed in Czech Republic like DayZ is, if it's a different studio, but maybe they should actually like work together more if they're not already.
I reckon they are, but yeah, we'll find out
Yeah.
soon. I want to give a big shout out to Lax Hawthorne, who has been working very closely with. Let me just share my screen, guys. Mr. Utah. Did everyone see he released his DayZ episode 3
yes.
teaser?
Yeah.
Oh, these are brilliant.
Haven't seen it yet.
It is fucking outstanding. I hope to God these get more views. Like between Lax and everyone else who's helped shout it out, Mr. Utah didn't even have 1,000 subscribers when he first started these. His channel wasn't even
Hello,
monetized.
and welcome to the
So big shout out to Lax Hawthorne in particular. He's taken the lead on this and really helped promote what is a fucking amazing series. What do you think of that, Ceremor?
I'm just I've never really been much into the YouTube side of things. I haven't paid much mind myself. Haven't paid too much attention to all the live action stuff.
Oh, they're brilliant, mate. They're brilliant. You need to watch them, and tell your chat about them so they can go watch them because he's doing an amazing fucking job with them, isn't he, Marks?
Yeah, they're great. They really are. Some of the best IRL DayZ content out there.
Looks like we've got our first zombie in that one, OG.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised he actually bought. You know he's going all out when he buys an actual can of Heinz because that shit's expensive. Like,
But if you notice, he's actually
he must have a
someone
tight
in the
budget.
modding community gave him the skins, and I think he's actually printing off the labels and attaching them so they're actually the items in the game now,
Yeah,
which is fantastic. I love seeing the little Easter
it's
eggs like
nice.
that.
Do you know the thing is as well is if I get into a game, that I really like, and it's something fictional like DayZ, I'll always go onto YouTube and see if anyone's done any like live action stuff of it. One thing that I got into recently was SCP. I really love SCPs, and then
What's
I
SCPs?
started watching. It's a horror. It's a horror genre. It's quite large. It took me a long time to explain, but it's basically just horror stories. That's what it is. And big YouTubers like the heads of YouTube, like Markiplier and people like that, used to play a game that came out called SCP Containment Breach, which was basically escaping a lab full of like these monsters. And the first thing that I did was look to see if anybody had made any live action films about it because I just loved the idea, and they did. And it gets you immersed, and that's what these videos by Utah do for DayZ, and they're a great way of promoting it because it's not only people who are fans of games, it's people who are fan of film and other media who are going to see that, and it's going to branch it out. So it's a good way of promoting the game. Really,
you know who really capitalized on that is Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah, Tarkov do it.
They
really
have
well.
their like the production level they do on them, like they're like little mini movies.
Yeah,
they're insane, and that is something like that would be super cool to see for DayZ as well.
Yeah.
No, very, very good to see. And Mr. Utah has actually been giving out some copies of DayZ for Lax to give away in his streams as well. So kudos to both of them. Just one of those little things that helps add some value to the whole DayZ community for people who, we all know what it's like to be addicted to a game. You're always looking for new content. And when you find someone doing stuff like this, it just makes you happy. Really makes you fucking happy.
Yeah.
Marks, your highlights video from last week. What was it?
What was it? That is a good question. Oh yeah, servers dying. Of like the amount of servers out there and why so many of them are pretty much empty.
And what was the feedback on the video, mate?
Tell you now. A lot of
bring it up.
A lot of people were kind of, I don't know what's the word for it. Kind of agreed. They were like, there is a lot. I'm trying to think of the way to put it. A lot of people were kind of saying that, it's just these big, heavily modded kind of servers that a lot of people are attracted to, because I suppose that's what the most popular YouTubers are kind of playing on and stuff. And I got a message from some server owners as well that were saying that it's just, you don't know what the behind the scenes of a server owner has to go through to try and get their server to be one of the popular ones out there. It's at the end of the day, for a lot of those servers out there, like those, it's just, in a way, it's just pure luck.
Ceremor, as one of the biggest streamers right now, what are you looking for in a server?
In a server, for one, probably no bases. I'm not a fan of bases myself.
I wonder why.
But one of the things that is a problem for me is that there's a lot of interesting maps out there, like that I've really wanted to try. I've been very curious about. There's like Lingor. There's a couple others. I can't remember the names, but every time I pop in and like try to find a server running one of these maps, it's invariably like a ultra modded, more DayZ Epoch style, sort of like what I kind of disparagingly call like an easy mode server where you got infinite stamina, traders, 10 times loot, AKs in every other house. And I can't stand those kinds of servers. So I really wish there were more like hardcore servers trying to work with more unique maps out there. I enjoyed that the Zero servers, Happy Bums' Zero servers, were running Deer Isle with vanilla settings. And that was pretty interesting. And I just want to see more of that with like more variety generally.
What about you, OG?
Funnily enough, I'm pretty much similar to Ceremor. I don't like servers that have bases. I don't. There's a few things. There's about 3 things that I don't like in a server. 1, bases. 2, a really messy UI. I hate those servers that have like the markers that are on your screen with like the map and the menus for player groups and stuff like that. And side chat. Oh my god, side chat is just. If you have side chat in your server, you're committing sacrilege. Please get rid of it. Yeah, probably the servers that have like a currency as well. I don't like those. Not at all. Traders, currency, bases, side chat. I don't want to feel like I'm in a. I don't want to. If I wanted that, I'd be playing Star Citizen. You know, I'm not. I'm in the apocalypse. I don't want to be seeing what people are up to. I want to be really immersed in a post-apocalyptic environment and see what happens for myself.
So we've said it a few times today about the impact of bases on DayZ. Now, I love bases, but at the same time, Ceremor, you think back to the early days of DayZ, standalone, not Epoch and things like that, but bases were never part of DayZ at the beginning. And it did add a certain vibe to DayZ back then, didn't it, Ceremor? Everyone was out looking for those tents and barrels stashed out in the middle of the forest. And when you found them, it kept people moving around the map. It kept people looking for those sneaky places to hide their stash.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest things that was a problem for me when I started playing DayZ again quite a bit in 2020. Is before like the baseless servers took off, I would play on like Baby Island, and it would be full pop, like 80 out of 80 people. But the problem was, I would roam the entire map and I wouldn't find anybody. I'd go to Northwest Airfield, not a shot fired for hours. And I was just like, okay, what's happening here? And I was with my friend, QK Norris, and we were like, maybe they're off to the side in a base. And so we go off to the western portion of the map, which in old DayZ, in the classic DayZ experience, like nobody goes to the western far reaches. It's like a very lightly traveled area. We find a castle. The first thing we find, big door on that castle. First thing we find, like 3 people in there just talking to each other inside the base. And I find that it really diminishes, the traffic, like the
Everyone sits in
likelihood
their
of running
base
into
counting
people in
their
hidden
riches.
spots.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. And
DayZ
I can't do it.
DayZ was bad for that, as it was like before as well. DayZ used to be really bad for that. It was one of the reasons why I have friends that don't play DayZ anymore, because they just got tired of playing it where they spawned in, spent hours gearing up, wouldn't run into a single person, and then just get sniped out of nowhere. Which, unfortunately, that's just DayZ. But having bases did not help that whatsoever. You could counteract the argument by saying, well, servers can have up to like 100 players now, which is double what it used to. But again, if it's promoting base building and you're adding mods that are improving base building, then people are going to want to experiment with that. It's just going to really slow down traffic. I think base building as a whole is really like poorly balanced as well in a way. Like, I just think for a game like DayZ, it doesn't work. This goes back to what was being said about offline raids. There's no way you're going to be able to counteract that. And the way DayZ works is that they want to make the game as realistic as possible. So it's kind of like, well, if you want it as realistic as possible, have your base, but I doubt your stuff's going to last there for more than one day. I don't know. I feel like base building completely changed the game in a negative way, in my opinion. I don't really know how I feel about it. I just think it slows down the traffic, creates really bad server performance, and yeah, that's about it really.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be as against it if DayZ were inherently like a game about bases. But like
Yeah.
I play a lot of Rust, and Rust is very much about sitting inside your base and sorting through your loot for hours, and only rarely going outside. And I enjoy it because it's balanced. It works well within that game. I feel like bases are kind of they're trying to fit the square into the circle hole. It doesn't work
Yeah.
the way I think they envisioned it originally.
And even Rust has balancing issues with base building. Even Rust has issues, and that game it's literally like you said, its whole focus is base building. That is what Rust is. It's probably apart from Minecraft maybe, but like Rust has issues with base building. So imagine the stuff that DayZ has to suffer with, and you look at the mods that people are making for it as well. Not only are people installing one mod for base building, but they're installing multiple mods that might counteract each other, and it just causes so many issues. And then these issues become, what we were talking about earlier, like toxicity and people getting angry over raids, and it's I don't think it's what the game should have been. Base building feels like it was just thrown into DayZ because people wanted something like that. And I don't even think, by the looks of it, like the people in chat I've noticed in chat, people are saying that like they're not a fan of base building and that it's an issue. So I'd be really intrigued just to see the statistics of who wanted base building and why they wanted to add base building into the game. So yeah, that's my take on it.
It's horses for courses. There are people out there who DayZ is base building for them, and even back in the Arma 2 days, that's what Epoch was massive for. And there are people, and it is great to see, Marks, the success of the day one servers, because it's brought back a bit of that OG DayZ feel of people just running around, interacting, a little stash in the woods. I think one of the best updates or things that they've released in DayZ is the improvised shelters. I think they are the fucking bomb. Because the tents really stand out. But the improvised shelters, you place one of them well, you can literally bump into it and be standing there going, why aren't I moving? Holy shit, there's a shelter here.
Yeah. Does anyone else find it a bit funny, though, how base building has actually been implemented into the game, when realistically, if they want to keep the game realistic, like they have with every other aspect of the game, apart from zombies, like, why didn't they just have it so that rather than it being an actual base building, it was more about like fortifying buildings that already exist? And because that's the thing, they went from Chernarus to Livonia, right? And don't get me wrong, the landscape of Livonia is great, but a lot of the assets have just been reused. Like lots of buildings have been reused, all the cars, structures, it's all been reused. That was the perfect opportunity right there. They had such a good opportunity to make a load of new buildings that could have been well optimized for fortifying, well built for fortifying, and that could have completely changed the game for people. But no, they just made it so you build a wooden wall, which why would you waste your time doing that in the apocalypse? It just makes no sense.
I know this is a DayZ podcast, but for people who love base building, Scum is going to be a very, very popular game for them. You can build a standalone base, or you can just lock down an existing structure and fortify the windows. That I think is it's one of the reasons I'm enjoying Scum so much, is because I love base building. Stop promoting that shite, Foxy's saying in chat. But that's part of there are people who like it, and DayZ just doesn't do it well. I think personally myself that DayZ is best when it's like the day one style, like the people just running around. What's the Scum server that all the DayZ players are going to? Yeah, it depends on where you are, but yeah, I like that running around style. I miss it as much as I love base building. And of course, you can ask questions, Cambo. But yeah, I do miss that feel that DayZ had pre-base building Ceremor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think fortifications were on the roadmap for DayZ.
Yeah.
The 2015 Q4 roadmap.
The dirty word. That's the R word. We call that the R word here. That's the R word.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it really seems like they kind of. I feel like they had a vision for the game that would have worked better with the game, and at some point, some decisions changed. Maybe somebody got into the reins of the development and pushed it in a different direction. And I'm kind of disappointed that it's gone this way instead of the other way it could have. I'd be so God. I wish it were possible to see a documentary about the development of DayZ. That would be
Mate,
one of the most
honest to
fascinating
God,
things.
someone needs to do that. I banded with the idea a while back. OGLevent, very talented guy, mate. There is, it might take 6 months or so, but reach out to the likes of Brian Hicks, fucking, if you can get him, what's his name, Dean Hall, and get do a history of DayZ over the years. That would just be something fucking amazing. I've toyed with the idea, but I'm not a skilled enough editor. All I'm good at is opening my big fucking mouth when I should keep it shut half the time. If there is an audience for, you could cover it from so many different angles as well. The history of the development, the history of the content creators, the rise and fall, the golden age of Mr. Blackout and Jam Jar and KD Wolf and Mr. Moon, and then the emergence of the Running Man, and now Ceremor and Lax Hawthorne and Smoke, and just
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great. I think the hard part would just be getting in contact with the guys. I mean, I know Dean Hall. He's moved on pretty much, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be really good. It's definitely something I'd be down for. I mean, I haven't been doing content creation that much for the past few months because of university. In six weeks' time, I finished my degree, so I'll be back into it then, streaming and stuff.
And what's your degree in, mate? Just so everyone knows.
3D animation and games design.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3D, basically 3D art in games. So I do things like animation, rigging, modeling, texturing, things like that, environments, which took me to the modding scene in DayZ a little bit as well.
Yep.
So, yeah.
No, I don't know about you, Ceremor, but I would love to see someone do a really good professional job of the history of DayZ.
Yeah, I'd pay for that. That'd be great.
Well, what do people think about like DayZ? Like when you were saying about the main roadmap, I think it was Ceremor who said that the main roadmap for DayZ years ago when it first came out was really good. Do people think that if they had actually stuck to that roadmap, do you think DayZ would have been better that way, or do you think it's better now than what it was promised to be?
I think the roadmap seemed more promising. And when you look at the
hype it generated back then in 2015, Ceremor.
Yeah. Like, sorry to go back to bases so much, but when the concept art for bases first came out, their vision seemed to be these standalone bases, like these compounds that you built out in the woods. And that still seems like a pretty cool thing. And I feel like the issue that happened was in practice, instead of creating these outdoor compounds where it's kind of balanced, where you have to, really build a lot of walls and there's, multiple entrances and all that, the meta became, okay, we're going to get some buildings with some really long hallways, and we're just going to put like 8 fences in this hallway. They have to go through all of them to get into the center. And there's no other option. You can't go through the back. You can't go through the top. It's just, you have an invincible wall and then a bunch of gates stacked. And I feel like looking at the old concept art, like, I don't think that's what they thought was going to happen with DayZ.
Just to confirm, and someone reminded me in chat, Taters, Soviet Womble has touched on this. His DayZ video essays. I don't think he's finished them yet, because he's still like the evolution of the DayZ mod. But yeah, I watched them, and they were fantastic. So go check out Soviet Womble's channel, because he did a really good job of them as well.
I saw those. Those are good.
Yeah, they were fantastic. And he's an OG of DayZ as well, isn't he, Ceremor?
Yeah, definitely.
Good old random bullshittery videos.
Familiar with him, but yeah, I've seen his stuff here and there.
Yeah, I think his essays are more like the actual the bullshittery of DayZ in it. It's like just his own breakdown of it. I think it'd be nice to get like a documentary of like just the actual development behind the development of it from the people themselves. That'd be nice as like an actual structured documentary. That'd be nice.
Yeah. And yeah, like Miss Foo's saying, there's still a few other OGs around, like Joshua, Septic, Loyal Patriot, and so on. So, yeah. What else did we have? Yeah, we talked about the console topic. Mod Mini Spotlight. So I did want to highlight this mod. Clement Dab kept true to his word. He's starting to release the mods that he developed for the creator server. And this one, I'm not sure of the impact it will have on servers. But the inventory move sounds, what did you think when you first heard things moving around inside your inventory, Ceremor?
Just reminded me of like Rust has had this forever, and it's wonderful there. It's I think it really just adds to the sense of place whenever you pick up items, and it's a fine idea. The only concern is the mod ever going to progress to a point where other people can hear you picking things up, and that would be
Yes.
like a big game changer to not have a
Yes.
stealthy way to loot.
Yep.
It's important. The sounds when you're like interacting with your inventory in a game is really important because it provides you with a response. Like it shows you that the game's responding to you, which is something that DayZ has struggled with for a while. Is the actual game responding to you and freezing and lagging? You know.
And Clement Dab just
It's
said,
really
watch
good.
the video. Yep, you do hear other players.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that is cool.
That is really
Ah.
cool. That is
Yeah, it's
really, really
good.
cool. It
Yeah,
goes
that'd
to
be very
Axiom at the
interesting.
end
It
there.
actually changes the game a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I need to get rid of that command. I'll shut that server down. So yeah, I'm very excited to see that because there's some great work got done there, and people got to see some pretty decent mods being made, showcased on that server to give people a bit of a unique experience. But yeah, really, really good to see. I want to shine the spotlight on the dude Thor. I know we've had him on as a guest, but the poor bugger at the moment, his GPU died, so he hasn't been able to
Oh, is that
stream as
good then?
much. So he's had to send it back for a warranty replacement. But I just wanted to keep his channel in the forefront of everyone's mind. He's being very active on Twitter, posting some rather funny stuff. There we go. Just letting people know. Day 6 of no GPU. I found a bug with an NPC. I kept asking what quests were available, but he was stuck in an infinite answer loop of how many times do I have to fucking tell you I'm a Woolworths cashier and not a goddamn NPC. Broken ass game. So that eternal struggle of when you're a hardcore gamer and your computer dies on you and you're like, what do I do with my life? Day 5, I can't drive directly to Melbourne, so I thought I'd fly. Sadly, I realised reality update removed the flying vehicle bug. It's been fun. I do feel for the guy. I hope he gets, and this weekend, Easter long weekend as well. It must really fucking suck. So, guys, please give him a follow. Let him know that he hasn't been forgotten, because that's the biggest fear of any creator. Is that when you're not online, you lose that that hustle you've managed to generate, Ceremor.
One day not streaming, and I'm like, they're gonna forget about me.
Oh god. Yeah, so he's a good bloke to boot. He does a lot of charity work and all the rest of it. So yeah. The community spotlight that I wanted to shine it on, probably a fitting one for this week. True Survival RP. Let me just post that link in the chat for people. If you're looking for an RP server, this might be one to try out. But their description, let me just find the channel. Communities, there we go. We are a realism-focused RP community created to fill the void for proper realism and hardcore survival. We constantly work to provide you the most dangerous post-apocalyptic environment for those true DayZ role players. Our goal is to provide the best RP environment for all who wish to test their resilience in the most inhospitable world we have been able to create. Danger is everywhere in the form of deadly creatures, viruses, cannibals, bandits, etc. Our admins are active and friendly, our rules are fair, and have been designed around a dynamic DayZ experience to allow you to feel what a post-apocalyptic world without laws would feel like. All of our mods, including our own custom mods, have been carefully selected to suit the theme we have envisaged. Come play today. And they've got a Deer Isle server. So if you're into the RP stuff, folks, or just been meaning to check it out, give them a try. They've got 460 members in their Discord, 120 people online right now. So, yeah, definitely worth giving them a shot if that's what you're into. We're getting near the end now, folks. Let me just jump back to the agenda. DayZ Twitter Watch. Anything interesting from the DayZ Twitter account this week? I expected more on April Fool's Day, to be honest. I really wanted a good troll.
What did they get on? Oh no, we just got a experimental servers alive announcement.
Yeah. They get back to me from last week, March, where we were quite critical of them, and said the feedback has been passed on. I don't know whether you saw last week's episode, Ceremor, but I know you get a bit active on Twitter at times. But we basically said there was a comment from Jon of Shinaris that the DayZ Twitter account right now kind of feels like it's run by people who don't play the game. Yeah, if you remember quite a few months back, Ceremor, we had Scotty and Yakub running the Twitter account, and oh my fucking God, it was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a bit more generic now, huh?
Yeah.
Should I send my CVing?
We want a bit of spice. Yeah, I keep it saying they need to employ Dance at Jesus and Dab. They run the DayZ EXP account that keeps trolling people. But
you know, legal would be onto them by the end of the day now if they were in control of that account.
I think they live by the philosophy of it's easier to beg forgiveness than ask for permission. And they just went ahead and tweeted some of the stuff. I remember when we had them both on, they said, sometimes I'd sit there and say, should we send this? Should we send this? Fuck it. Let's just send it. But yeah, I do hope to see them being more active in the community. They did hint that they've got some stuff coming up. So, anything they can do to help promote the game, because we should probably check it. What is the Steam charts at? It'll be interesting to see over this long weekend.
I wonder if their Twitter account is actually being managed by like an actual community manager, or if it's just being managed by.
They've got two community managers.
General.
They've got two community managers at the moment that I believe. So it's still not bumping back, but there hasn't really been anything released to draw the community back in yet, has there, Ceremor?
Yeah, nothing crazy, nothing like Namalsk, but it's still it's going so well. Like I've been looking at the Steam charts a lot and considering like I'm looking at it right now. May 2014 is when DayZ dropped down to 31,000 players, and then for years it was lower until the dark ages of 2018 when there's only like 3,600 people playing, and now we're back up to 2014 numbers. Like we surpassed it in December of 2020 for a moment, and that's just blows my mind that DayZ has had like the most unexpected comeback. And I'm so glad. And I think the reason is because like it's still a unique experience. There's no other game I can go to that gives an experience akin to DayZ. God, I wish there were, but there isn't. So we're stuck here, and so is everybody else.
I think 2017 was the year when I don't know if anyone else remembers this, but like for those who really like hardcore DayZ was super hardcore in 2017 because there was literally no loot whatsoever.
Oh, the starvation patch.
0.55 patch. My favourite patch, by the way. I fucking loved 0.55.
Dark time.
In fact, there was that patch, and then there was the patch where there was no food whatsoever, but then you could go to a guard stand and find about 5 AKs on the doorstep.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
0.57. That was 0.57.
Yeah. That was it. That was great. That was awesome. PvP in Belota. Oh, man.
But that is a pretty sharp drop there at the end, Marks. From the 45,000 in January of this year, we're now down to 31,000 average concurrent. So I'm really hoping to see the DayZ marketing team jump on and create some hype.
Yeah, I think people just around Christmas time as well probably just had a bit of extra time, so they hopped back on.
And I think that was also the first time that Summit and Shroud came back in a long time. So I
Yeah.
think that like really blew it up
definitely helped.
for a little while.
Yeah.
Until Summit's had his issue with trees.
I have that same issue. I hate those Christmas trees. I want them trimmed.
But yeah, it's going to continue to do this, guys. You know, there'll be something that'll come out that'll generate some hype in the community again, and it'll come back up again. DayZ is one of those games. It's got replayability, and that's what a lot of people forget. You can uninstall DayZ. My young fella, he uninstalls DayZ every now and then I'll talk to him about it, and he goes, "I actually feel like playing DayZ again." And he'll reinstall it, and he'll jump back on, and he'll start playing it again for a few months. We've got to remember that there's a lot of people who are just casual players of DayZ, and that's part of the beauty of DayZ. As opposed to the other game I've been talking about, Scum. Scum is very complex. DayZ, as much as it's got a steep learning curve, it's still quite easy to get back into. A bit's changed. A lot's changed from pre-0.63. But yeah, it's what's this? War Dog just told me to check my documents or my emails. Holy crap! Through DayZ Vision document 10.14. Okay, let me see if I can share this. It's an old document, the outline of what DayZ would have been. This is back when Brian Hicks was on the team. But this is fucking fascinating. Let me share this screen with you guys. Let me just stop being a boomer for a sec.
And if you get a chance as well, will you actually send that to me? Because that could be kind of a cool video.
Okay. So DayZ Vision document. DayZ is a post-apocalyptic multiplayer sandbox hybrid genre title focused on the core pillars of freedom of choice, player interactions, direct and indirect, permanent death and consequences, which was one of the things I love the most about it, that not even games like Scum and that are doing. That's one of the things I love about DayZ, and it does frustrate a lot of people, but it's what makes it good for people because it adds that sense of fear to every interaction. Player stories and content, player skill over character gear whenever possible, survivalism. The DayZ project endeavours to, whenever possible, opt out of creating lore or stories defined by the development team and instead push for the players to interpret. I've just got to make this smaller so I can still see chat in case there's any questions coming up about it. Prior to, it's going to be going like that, is it? Oh, wrong window. Yeah. Okay. No, I do have to have it full screen, so I'm going to have to ignore chat for a moment. Through the simulation, interactions between players and the environment will drive gameplay whenever possible and authentic rather than a realistic experience should be pursued. No, it does just cut off at the end there. The extent of freedom of player choice support in DayZ can and does lead to consequences that will have a permanent impact on your character's life and creates a player experience unique in the something. In addition to the, I don't know why it's cut. Oh wow, it goes. Okay, I'm not going to be able to. Yeah, I won't be able to read it all through, but I'll send this through to you, Marks, and you can do something with it if War Dog's okay with that.
Yeah.
This is make sure you give credit to War Dog for this. But that's an amazing fucking. Yeah, this could be good OG for you with if you do a history of DayZ. Because what I would love to see as well, and I think even you would probably find this interesting, Ceremor, is let me just close this screen. Oh, God, I'm
6 weeks and I'll get started on it. 6 weeks.
Change windows. I'd love to see someone tie in with what all these dips and troughs were from, with the different patches. 0.2, 0.4, 0.55. The release of 0.5. Well, this will probably be around about 0.55 here because everyone fucking hated it. This might be 0.57. I can't remember, but just tying it in with the different patches and then going back through the website and finding out what came out with each release and what happened and who was, the kings of Twitch and YouTube at that time, and just the constant evolving of the DayZ community throughout all these times. And then, the golden times when it started to, this was the golden era for me back then with Mr. Blackout doing his DayZ diaries, and Hardcore series was just the pinnacle of fucking DayZ video creation for me. And then we've got the second golden age, Namolsk and 1.0 release, and people coming back, and Shroud playing the game again, and just
Can't believe I've been playing this game for 7 years. It's around 7 years now.
Makes you feel old, doesn't it, Ceremor?
Mate.
God, it's horrible. What was I, like 20 years old when I first started playing DayZ? It's been been a ride.
Now, I do have a question for you, Ceremor, that someone told me I've been dodging. Is there any truth? I don't understand this, so you'll have to explain the backstory of it. Is there any truth to the rumors that you are a car?
Boydie, listen, I'm only going to say this once. You fucking be careful, okay? You fucking be careful about the questions you ask me. All right, buddy? All right, listen, we're going to shelf this, and we're not going to talk about this again. I'm going to forgive you this time, but we're not going to talk about this again. All right, thank you.
Brum, brum. Is there a backstory to this that we need to know?
I've got the keys to him right here.
I'm now intrigued. I want to know what the backstory behind this is. But yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Careful with the spam, Ollie. Okay, so what else have we got? Back to the podcast. Okay, we're now on to highlights, guys and girls. OG, what was your highlight for not just the last week, mate? Can be anything you want, but what's your DayZ related highlight?
Oh, it was a small one actually. It was the scout rifle.
Yep.
Yeah, I love snipers in DayZ. I've always loved sniping, even though it's a ball ache. But having a new rifle, it's nice.
Particularly one that you can find not just in the high loot military areas. That's a win.
Yeah, definitely.
I think having oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think as well another highlight was just the mods that have been out recently, not just this week, but just recently, just the modding community in general. Like, I can't recall exactly what mods are what because I follow so many people on Twitter, loads of modders on Twitter, but there are a lot of people out there who are working really hard and getting some stupidly good mods out there that are changing the game. So if you're one of those people and you've been putting your mods on Twitter and you've been like trying to improve the game for yourself and your own servers, then props to you because it's not easy and it's good. It's really good. So yeah, keep up the modding, people.
What were you going to say about the Scout or the Pioneer, Cyril?
I think it's really good that there's it fills a niche that I feel like is kind of lacking in DayZ.
Yes.
You've got your low tier guns and then you've got your high tier guns. And oftentimes it feels like you go from using a shitty pistol to getting an AK with a drum mag, and there's nothing in between. And with 5.56 rounds too, I would usually just not even pick them up because usually you're gonna find an AK before an M4. The M4 ammo is too rare to make viable, and having kind of a mid-level weapon is a good niche that I feel like they could focus on a little more, and that's a great decision, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing with DayZ that puts a few people off is there's a lot of things you can experience in DayZ, but unless you really put the effort in, you might not even experience them at all for a long time. Like, it's been a long time since I found a car and driven a car, but that's because I've not been able to put the time into the game that much recently because of university to find a car and drive it. And it doesn't really matter to me, but I might find that it's something I enjoy. So in terms of guns, the Scout is going to be a nice sniper just to pick up and pick people off with. So
yeah, gonna be cool. You're muted, buddy. I think.
Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah. Can't hear you.
Still can't hear you if you're talking.
Whatever you pressed, unpress it.
Oh no.
Okay, can you hear me now?
So for the past 3 days, I've been eating an omelette for breakfast on a new diet. I don't know if anyone's
Oh,
interested
hell
in
yeah.
that. But,
Cheese
yeah.
in the omelet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. 100%, it's got to be.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I sometimes put like little slices of tomato in
okay,
there
you've
as
gone
well.
too far.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm eating slices of pepperoni right now for like a fucking animal.
Oh, not wrong. Pepperoni though.
Why has he forsaken us?
Might as well.
Can chat hear him? Like, can his own stream hear him?
Okay, question.
Testing. Testing.
Oh, stream can't hear him either. Time to just shamelessly self-promote.
Is it? I don't know if Boydie can hear us actually. Can he hear us? Yeah, he can hear us.
Okay.
Okay,
Has he
they
checked his Discord
can you guys hear
microphone?
me? Oh, hang about.
Yeah, he might need to check his Discord mic. buddy.
Yeah, input on Discord.
Testing. You can hear me now? Yeah, you can hear me
Yeah,
now.
there we go.
There we go. There we are.
I bent this when I first got it, and it's been the cable for it, so I'm probably going to need to get a new cable for my microphone. But yeah, I can hear you, War Dog. I can hear you in chat, clear and loud with a slight boomer tone. But yeah, so Ceremor, what were you saying your highlight was, mate?
I don't even remember what I was talking about. What was happening?
Scout. Talking about scout rifle being.
Yeah. I haven't actually engaged though. I haven't played the experimental yet, but I've seen a couple of people trying it out, so I don't really have a good grasp of balance or anything. So I feel like I can't say too much. I need that hands-on experience.
They do need more, like you said, mid-tier weapons, and not just Mosins and CZs and the CR527 and so on. You know, the sort of one-shot rifles. There needs to be more. You know, 380 rifles, 9mm rifles. You know, you can get them. 357. You know, the repeater, stuff like that out there. So that yeah.
Definitely.
What about you, Marks? What's been your highlight?
I think as well, I just kind of have to give it to the update.
Yep.
In general, it was good. There were some silly things in there, but there was some good things as well with zombies, especially that they've seemed to fix, and it's good. As well, I haven't played it yet. I'm going to hop on there tonight and make a more in-depth video on everything that's there. So, yeah, but it's cool to see that they're still updating the game and give us the gun that we can actually find. So, can't complain.
For me, it's the teaser trailer for episode 3 of Mr. Utah series. I can't wait to watch it. My only problem with Mr. Utah is he takes so fucking long, but he's producing quality stuff, so I can be patient. I can be patient and wait for him because they're fucking damn good videos to watch. I'd love it if you could showcase one of them on your stream when you've got a few hundred people in Ceremor, just to show people that there's people out there just as passionate, making some really high quality shit for DayZ.
Yeah, it's been a good time. It's the best time for DayZ really right now. It's been absolutely fantastic.
It is. It's been good. Guys and girls, thank you so much. Ceremor, thank you for coming on, mate. You got called out, and I think you responded quite well.
It was very fruitful. Good time.
I was honestly dreading it. Probably, if people who are in the Discord would have noticed, I didn't even really do an agenda for this one up until yesterday, because I was honestly dreading this episode with what I had to talk about with OG and UncleRayRayyy first. Was quite a sensitive topic, and I think we managed to address it without breaching terms of service. Kind of sucks, but we can't mention specifics. And then we had the topic pop up that I got asked to cover by a few people, and Ceremor, you agreed to come on, and so did Kyro. And I thank everyone for being pretty respectful to each other in the chat, because we were chatting before, weren't we, Marks? And I was a little bit worried.
I was as well, yeah.
Yeah.
But it went well, so I can't complain.
That's why you didn't stream, isn't it?
I can't stream where I'm at, so.
Thank you so much for coming on, mate. You're on holidays at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, just out with parents. The internet just can't handle streaming, so.
Yeah. So thank you for still making it. Oh, Mr. OG, when isn't there a fucking drama in this game, in this community? But yeah, you have to go back and watch the VOD, mate. It's all at the beginning. But yeah. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you all so much for coming on. And wow, what a fucking viewer count. I think this has been the biggest podcast I've ever done. Generally had around about 100 viewers most of the time, even with raids and without them. So
I was
yeah.
going to say as well. I was going to say that if you don't mind a quick plug.
Go for it.
Boydie. I know a couple of weeks ago I started a channel called DayZ Highlights, which was something that Boydie came up with the idea for. And I decided to execute it. And I think it was Dirty Dub who put it in the chat that he wanted to see, people wanted to see more interesting things and funny moments in DayZ, etc.
Yeah.
In the next few weeks, I'm going to be coming back doing it, because I did upload one episode and then stopped because university just became so.
Post a link in chat, mate, to your channel.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to Twitter, guys, and in the bio of the Twitter there is a form you can upload your clips to.
I submitted my bear bait one to you.
Yeah, so they'll start coming back up in a couple of weeks' time. So if you guys get clips and then fill that form up, then in about 4, 5, 6 weeks' time there'll be a lot of episodes coming out. So yeah, fill it up.
Well, actually, a quick question. What do you think of DayZ Clips channels, Ceremor?
Oh yeah, I think they're cool. It's like I don't really engage with the YouTube side of things too much, so I've never really. But like sometimes I see my clips being re-uploaded without my permission, but I don't care. I love it. I want the publicity. Yeah, please. You're getting a bunch of views on your channel. Yeah, throw my stuff up there. Put my face out there. Sure. So like and this is,
That's
it's
how it
good
started,
that you're.
people didn't want that.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you're providing a source for clips that are not just ripped from channels without anybody being the wiser. So that's definitely a nice niche to fill.
Yeah. Yep, all with permission.
Awesome. Thank you guys once again. Ceremor, a pleasure as always having you on. OG, this is your first time on the show. It was great having you on, mate. Mr. Ninja lookalike.
I'm not making millions, though. No, I wish.
Those people tell me I look like Hugh Jackman.
People tell me I look like a twat. Which I am, so.
Nah. All the best, everyone. We will see you next week. And we have, as our guests next week, let me just go down to the channel. Bada boom, bada bing. Dancer Jesus and Bestius coming on. So we will be talking with Dancer Jesus. He's got some exciting news, I believe. And Bestius, for those who don't know, is, you've heard us talk about it a bit, but he is one of the people behind the team at Mini DayZ. Have you guys ever played it, Ceremor?
I've heard of it. Never gave it a shot though.
If you don't have enough DayZ in your life, you can download Mini DayZ on your phone or your iPad, and you can take that DayZ experience with you anywhere. It's a damn good invention, and they've just released Mini DayZ 2. And that's why we've got him coming on to talk about the game. And yeah, we will see you all next week, same bat time. Just remember, unlike Marks and Kyro this morning, they were in chat an hour earlier. But you guys have just gone on to daylight savings. We've just come off it. So it's still the same time, just adjust an hour. An hour later, or it's an hour later for you guys now, isn't it?
Hour later, yeah.
Hour later,
Yeah, hour later.
if you're on daylight savings time. So 2000 UTC, Saturday, the 11th of April is when the next show will be. All the best, everyone, and we will see you next week. So bye-bye, guys.
Later.
See you later.
In a bit. Bye.
And ciao for now.